Halo 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 halo. Halo. Wah, ini kenapa nih sama audio gue nih? Entar ya, guys. Nah, gini aja deh. Hai semuanya. Eee, sudah ada beberapa yang join, ya, ada yang bilang Jumatan, "Woi." Ya, kebetulan di komplek ini nggak boleh ada Jumatan dulu kegiatan karena mengikuti dari pemerintah, jadi kita sholat di rumah aja. Buat yang berpuasa, selamat menjalankan ibadah puasa. Thank you for joining. Jadi udah di sini ada berapa, gue sapa dulu. Ada, wah banyak juga nih. Valencia Lee, kalau masih ada 42 orang, pokoknya di sini ada Rintan, ada Rizda, Rani, Yuli, pokoknya ada 52 orang watching now. Thank you thank you thank you. Terus yang terakhir itu ada, wes ada Alex Jating. Oh ya, Alex Jating, halo halo. Terus, Mutia, hai semuanya, selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa semuanya. Kita sama-sama sedih mungkin ya, karena agak, puasa tahun ini berbeda dibandingkan tahun yang sebelumnya, tapi tetap kita harus berpositif thinking dan berdoa untuk yang terbaik, ya. Tapi sambil ngabuburit nunggu nanti maghrib buka puasa, kita berbicara soal sulap. Ngomongin masalah sulap untuk yang non magician atau yang bukan pesulap, it's okay. Kalau mau join free, feel free to join me sampai nanti. Tapi gue berharap di sini sebenarnya pesulap yang nonton gitu, jadi supaya banyak belajar. Halo, ada Maria di sini, ada siapa lagi tuh minta disapa, Vanessa. Ini kenapa ya sama earphone gue ya, kok tetap bisa mendengar di luar? Sebentar, ya, yang minta disapa ya sapa. Halo Priska Junior, sebentar ya. Yang nanyain Mbak Saranya lagi di atas. Ini audionya gue dengar nggak sih? Bentar ya, wait guys, wait. Terus apa lagi ya, ada yang nanyain Sarah ya, Saranya lagi di atas Mbak Saranya, Sarah Wijayanto. Terus hai gadis, ada Gladys Lola, Dakar Entertainment semua, siapa yang baru join. Ini sebentar guys, kayaknya ada yang salah dengan ini gue nih, AirPod gue, sebentar. Bentar ya. Gue ulang, connect lagi, ulang. Cek. Coba gue cek lagi dong suara. Oh, udah masuk belum? Cek. Cek. Mau nanya ini audionya masuk gak, guys? Coba. Tolong. Oke. Ini kayaknya ada bermasalah sama AirPod gue nih. Oke, nggak apa lah. Oke, intinya, oke, sepertinya sih sudah kayaknya. Tapi nggak juga nih. Yang kirim kenapa ini AirPod gue? What's wrong with my left AirPod? Wah. Tuh, ada yang minta disapa. Halo, ada Rizda semua. Oke, udahlah. Intinya kita mulai aja nih. AirPod gue suara aman ya? Suara aman, oke. Sip, suara aman, oke. Oke, kita akan undang Daniel Garcia sebentar lagi. Setelah semuanya udah pada kumpul. Cek ter ya. Masuk nggak sekarang? Wah. Oh, oke. Masuknya ke sini. Bentar. Cek. Wah, nggak bener nih. Oke lah, kita mulai aja ya pokoknya ya. Kurang ajar loh itu. Ya, ini gue AirPod gue bermasalah nih guys, anjay. Ini sekarang pakai laptop. Ini kenapa ya ini bermasalah ya? Gue heran dah. Ntar, gue pokoknya mau pakai AirPod biar gue bisa mendengar suaranya si ini, si siapa? Sekarang gimana? Cek. Nah, ini kita audio. Tenang, cobaan orang puasa. Oke, gue nanya sekali lagi. Apakah sekarang sudah aman, saudara-saudara, audionya? Udah ya? Semoga udah ya, please. Enak aja, baterai masih 50% nih baterainya. Enggak 50%. Gue kan selalu siap buat cas dulu. Udah ya sekarang ya? Udah ya? Udah dong. Udah dong. Oke, sudah selama 10 menit kita intinya tadi udah pada tahu kan Daniel Garcia itu adalah seorang magician underground dulu. Terus sekarang dia sudah melalang buana menjadi konsultan. Terakhir kali gue ketemu sama dia itu di Vegas, acara Magic Live. Sekarang kita mau undang aja langsung. Jadi buat teman-teman yang non magician atau bukan pesulap, feel free buat join nonton. Siapa tahu bisa melihat sisi lain dunia sulap. Buat kalian yang benar-benar sulap, gue pengen kalian benar-benar memperhatikan karena di sini kita akan ngebahas tentang penting atau enggak sih fungsinya seorang konsultan. Mungkin banyak yang belum tahu, gue perlu nggak sih konsultan tuh buat apa sih, fungsinya apa sih, oh gini, bla bla. Nah, di sini kalian akan mendapatkan pelajaran itu. Oke, nih gue ngundang dulu dia ya. Oke. Udah ya, yang pesulap kasih tangan ini dong, gue pengen tahu ada berapa banyak pesulap di sini. Ya, Yang di sini pesulap tangannya kasih emoticon gini, yang pesulap. Jadi gue pengen tahu ada berapa banyak pesulap di sini yang join. Wah, Nanda Gaming. Pesulap ya Nanda Gaming ya. Tapi tandanya begini, bukan begini. Oke. Kita undang aja langsung aja ya. Daniel Garcia. You look different.
It's Corona, bro. Corona. Let me get you on. Let me see if I can hear you here. Do I got you?
There's something wrong with my audio. I don't know why.
No worries. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, but I think I'm gonna put this off. I think it's not working. Before when we do the test, I mean the trial, the audio and also the connection, it works fine. But suddenly when we go live,
we're crazy.
Yeah, but can you still hear me? I mean clearly or
yeah,
not?
I got you, bro. No, you're good. You're perfect.
Okay. So everyone, this is Daniel Garcia.
What up?
So there's some magician and also non-magician also here in the So we have to be careful because not to spoil everything.
Yeah, man, no worries, bro.
So I think it's kind of funny if I ask you how are you, because like everyone in the world, I think we had the same situation right now, staying at home doing nothing.
Yeah, man. I think you just gotta like make the best of what you can right now, right? It's
Yes.
like, man, it's like it's so crazy. So you just kind of have to like, it's hard to say like find the silver lining or like look on the bright side, but I think it's more of just kind of like mental clarity. I mean, that's kind of keeping me sane right now, and just kind of focusing on work and focusing on creativity and that kind of stuff. So and just knowing that, you know, you can just try to not let it get to you, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But still, for me, it kind of very missing to be on the stage.
Bro, I haven't performed in a while, but like I just miss people. Like that's the biggest thing, bro. Like I just miss people. Like I miss being around. Like I'm such like I guess they call it social butterfly, right? So it's like I miss going out and like just interacting with like other humans. It's crazy, bro. I didn't think I was gonna miss it this much, but I miss it a lot.
Yeah, and with me and my friends, we like have a plan. Like every day we do the Zoom talk. So because if we just like using phone, we're not seeing each other. But
yeah,
in Zoom, it looks like, well, I know, well, it's not real in front of them, and then do the talk and then interaction with them. But at least it keep us sane because it has like, man.
Yeah, bro. Like I don't, you know, it's funny. I've never been like a FaceTime person. Like I've never been like a person that like did like video calls and like that kind of stuff. And like that's literally like it's been saving me right now. I do. It was funny. I was talking to my buddy Blake earlier today, and I was like, "Let me just FaceTime you quick." He's like, "Yeah, let's just talk about it." It's like, oh, it's so much. I don't know. It's just it's kind of like converted me, which is funny.
So I'm going to read some questions. So this is like my friend here. He admire you a lot. I mean,
oh, tell him thank you, bro.
Yes. If I don't know if you still remember, but last time in Vegas, when we met in Vegas, I asked you to make
a video for your friend. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
His name is Zaki. Now he also want me to ask you something about the question that he's been wondering around. And also it's the same question like I'm wondering too. You have social media.
Yeah.
you have like Instagram, but how come I never see you post like especially Instagram? I never see you post at all.
Oh man, it's you're not the first person to ask that. I don't. My social media is more like private media, I guess.
Yeah, I understand, but then again, why?
Man, I don't know, man. It's like That's a really good question, actually. You just hit me out of left field with that question. I think it's I mean, just to be completely honest, it's partial laziness, like, because it's a lot of work. Like, keeping up with your social media is way more work than people think. So that's like a small part of it. The other big part of it's like, I really, like I said, like, I'm a social person, like going out and being social. So I want, like, if I went like towards magic with social media and like what that like most magicians would do with it, then I feel like it's not like, I would be creating a different style of magic, which is a cool like creative process and like a cool creative like challenge, right? To come up with that kind of stuff. But it's not like what like fuels me. It doesn't like make me like I get like that creative rush whenever I come up with something, and then I go out and I test it, and I go and I talk to people, and then it takes, you know, years for me to like bounce it around and go like figure out what it's going to be. And I don't get that same feeling whenever it's like something for like just for camera. Like, it's a different type of, it's hard to explain, man. Like, I know what I feel, but it's not like, I love helping other people create that kind of stuff, right? Like, I see like some of the stuff that you have on Instagram, and I'm like, oh man, that was really creative. Like, that was a really dope, like creative thing. And for me, and I respect it, and I respect like that style, because I believe that it's different, kind of like how David split magic into, you know, like there was like stage magic, close-up magic, and then David kind of created like Blaine. We're talking about Blaine for the people that aren't magicians. He's who I'm quarantined with here. This is why I'm in this extra bedroom as opposed to being out in the living room, because we're working on something out there. But he like split it off to where there was like now street magic, right? And I think that social media did its own thing. Like, a lot of people don't give social media magic credit, but that's like its own entity. Like, that's its own way of being creative. It's its own way of having solutions. It's its own way of finding problems. It's its own way of doing all these different things. So there's a complete different respect that I have for it. Everything just branches off, and I don't get fulfilled. That's the word that I was looking for. I don't get fulfilled creating for that specific style the way that I get fulfillment creating live. And so there's no like, there's no extra edge to push me, right? Like, I just did this thing for Vanishing Ink. It was like this thing that they asked me to be a part of. That made me excited because I knew that there was a point that I wanted to get across, right? So there was something that I really wanted to push. Like, I wanted to inspire in a different way, not that it did that, but that was like the goal. And so, because it was so rapid, and because I came up with this idea so fast, that like started fueling me, as opposed to the fact of me just being on social. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the same for television too, because I've been asked like the same for television, where it's like, well, how come you don't do stuff for television when you have like these different, you know, my best friend Alex, he you know, tells me this all the time, and he's like, bro, you have all these different companies like and production companies asking to do stuff, and you keep saying no, and you keep coming up with excuses. But it's maybe just because of more like, I don't get fueled by that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know, man. That's the best answer I can give you, I guess.
Maybe you're
Let's just stick with I'm lazy. I should have just said I'm lazy. That's what I should just stop with that. Let's just cut lazy.
Okay. Yeah, because it's kind of interesting, because I saw a few days ago there's a conversation in YouTube. There's like Max Maven there, and also there's a my friend Jeremy Griffith. So he also worked on like mostly do cards for social media, for Instagram. He worked like several years for social media, so he understands about social media stuff, magic in social media, I mean. And then there's like a debate between Max and him about, Max is not agreeing about the social media stuff right now, because he still assumed that magic in real life is more the art rather than the social media. But I completely agree with you that now the social media stuff, like magic and social media, have their own like entity. I mean, there exists,
its own
and then
different
it's
thing.
evolving.
And I wouldn't never like, I'm not going to disagree with Matt. Max is amazing, you know.
I know.
But I'm also not going to fully accept that. You know, it's like, he's got his own opinion, of course, but you can't. I mean, it's like if you look at like cooking, whenever like what is it, gastronomy cooking was invented. I don't know what the actual, I sound a lot stupider than I am, but and that's not true. I'm way stupider than I sound, but
No, you're not.
but like that style of cooking, when that was first invented, I'm sure that there was people that were just like, yo, this is not cooking, like this is exactly like cooking is and it's fine, like it's cool to think like that. It's and it's cool to believe that if you want to believe that or not. I kind of see, I think that it's inevitable, right? Like you look at what's happening and it's inevitable, so why not, you don't have to be a part of it. You know, but I at least give it the respect that I think that those people deserve, that are doing like hard work to come up with like creative solutions that are bound by a box, that are, you know, bound by this one lens, that there's advantages and disadvantages, you know. Will I say that it does compare to live? For me, no. Like for me, no, though, you know what I mean? Because for me, there is there's a connection that's made when I perform live. But the argument can also be said that if you look at movies, right? So like look at movies, movies are bound by a frame, and movies are bound by this one single thing, and they take you on exactly what magicians are trying to take you on, right?
Yeah.
So therefore we can use that as inspiration. Like there's two sides to the whole thing, right? So it's not, you know, you have to figure out like, what do you, it's what drives you, I think. It's what, you know, what actually inspires you to do what you want to do. That just doesn't, for me, it doesn't light my flame, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that the saying said that anything in the art can be broken. Every rules in the art can be broken. So yeah.
Well, there are no rules in art, right?
Yeah, there's no rules. So I've been such a fan of you since your early work, and then the latest one, the mint box. I think it's still one of the best. I've been carrying it. I have 3 of them, to be honest.
Right on.
Just in case I broke it, I don't have to wait to buy it and then ship it from the US. But there's a kind of interesting story behind the mint box, because it was like you already have it, and it took time for you to release it. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it true? I mean, when you develop
it takes me time to release anything, to be honest with you. I mean, it took years.
Yeah, and then well, maybe from magician point of view, like some of them think it's not that kind of difficult, but then again, you put it like some time to release it. Is there any particular reason why you're holding it until, is it for
I mean, there's a huge reason. It has nothing to do with timing, to be honest with you. It has everything to do with myself. One, I didn't create that effect to just be released. Like that was like, if I create because I have like a personal inspiration to solve a problem. Like there's a problem that I want to find a solution for myself. And so, and it may not be that I like specifically am like, oh man, I really want to do a card to box and I want to be able to carry it to a bar. Like I may not think that. I may like actually just go, you know what? I've never tackled this plot before. So what would my brain do to tackle this plot? And it keeps me like it keeps me working. You know what I mean? And so, but I find joy in that. Like those are things that I enjoy doing. Like, you know, a lot of people like painting, a lot of people like drawing, you know, a lot of people like writing music. I enjoy creating magic. Like it makes me happy. That's something that I really like to do. So with that specifically, it was like, I've never tackled this plot. And I came up with a checklist of what I wanted those to do. And how I wanted this to like how I wanted to design it. That's what it was. Like that was my challenge to myself. It wasn't for anybody else specifically, it was just for me. And so it went, and it was kind of a rapid fire. It was originally a matchbox, to be honest with you. The very first one I made was a small little matchbox.
Oh.
Yeah. And so and that lasted a total of a day, 2 days, something like that. And then it went from that box. You know what's funny? I wish I would have known that you're going to ask that, because I have the video, like the OG video of the very first the first matchbox one that I actually made. And I am the worst at organizing any videos on my phone. So so it would literally take me like an hour to
it's okay. Take your time. I will
anyway.
make this fix, because I'm quite like, this lights
So.
Oh no worries, bro. Yeah, look, I'll let me just. Do you want me to make my bed? I can make the bed. Anyway, so yeah, so that was it was. I'm not gonna waste time looking for this. It was so it went from that, and then that went to a little slide drawer box. It was like a little mint box that I had that was sitting. If you go to my house, like there's stuff
I've never
all.
been to your house.
Yeah, that I know of. I don't. You are more than welcome anytime. But there's a underneath my coffee table. There's just a bunch of toys and books, and like it's all stuff that's like I really enjoy. Like I enjoy my brain like continuously going, and that might be like, I guess, detrimental to some things, but for me, it's like I really enjoy being able to just like look down and go, oh man, this would be cool if this happened. Or like, because you never know, like you might be watching a movie and all of a sudden you see like the rain hits this sign a certain way, and you notice that it causes a reflection to happen like this, and then I look down and I happen to see this piece of plastic and go, oh, you know what would work?
Yeah.
So so there's stuff everywhere. So there was a little mint box that was sitting down underneath my thing, and I was like, oh man, you know what? This would actually work great as the actual thing. So I pulled that out. I made it real quick. And I remember I had bought like certain supplies when I was in Japan. I was at Tokyo Hands, and I had bought like, when I went through Tokyo Hands, it's it's incredible, right? It's like the magician's playhouse of just nothing but arts and crafts. And so I went. Alex just texted me. I'm sorry, but Alex texted me. He said I know what's in underneath that table. Like he's trying to make me feel bad, but it's like all of his other girlfriends, Sanchez is what we call them. It's all of their like info because he wants to hide it from his wife. Anyway, so
Alex is watching.
Yeah, he's watching. Yeah. I didn't know that until he texted me. He's supposed to be asleep right now. That's what's crazy. I like, it went from that little box, and then that little box, I just didn't like the design of it. I didn't like the way, like, I'm a super stickler for design. Like design is a huge thing for me. I like things to look good. I like them aesthetically to be pleasing. And so I just didn't like the way it looked. And I remembered when those little mint boxes came out, I used to have a card and box routine that I used to do with that. And it was a thing that I had glued like a little magnet to the bottom of a card. I won't go into crazy detail because I know you've got the real people in here.
Yeah. the non-crazy one.
Yeah. The sane ones. And so I used to do this thing where I would secretly load that card that had a little magnet glued to it, and I could just do a little routine with it. And I was like, man, you know what? I wonder if that has a lip on it, and that lip was a very specific thing that I needed. And it was just how the tin was going to be rolled. And I remember that I had one like in the back of a drawer that was in my kitchen. And so like I ran to my kitchen, and I got up and I went and I like found this old little box, and I was like, yeah, here it is. And so I put it together real fast. And then from there on, man, I just carried it with me. Like I carried it like everywhere. I just took it out. I showed it to, I have a thing where I show, like, I've got a bunch of magicians that I respect dearly, and I respect their opinion, because even though I may not agree with their opinion, and this is something that, I think comes from leading teams whenever you consult also, or being part of a team, actually is probably a better way to say it, is that you value that person, you value their opinion, because you understand they're there for a reason. So you may not agree with that reason, and you may not agree with their thinking, but you understand that they said that for a reason. So you try to, like, it now allows you to step back and go, okay, why did they say that? Like, where's their head at right now? So I sent this video out, and I have a group of guys and girls that I trust, and so I sent this video out and was like, hey, let's check out this new idea that I have, and everybody came back with, like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. This is great. This is good. So I started taking it out to different places and playing with it, and just trying to figure out a good routine that I wanted to do with it. But that wasn't for release. Like, there was no purpose for me to release it. It was just for me. Like, it was for me to I wait for that thing to where I know that if I don't want to take it out anymore, that I'm done thinking about it. And when I'm done thinking about it, it's not that I'm not going to take it anywhere. It's just that I don't have to, like, continuously keep working now. My brain, like, my brain cannot, it won't stop working on it, but it can, like, compartmentalize and be like, all right, you now have room to go do this now, and this will be still be worked on, but this is now you can go play over here. You know what I mean? And so so I did that for a while, and I was still carrying it with me, and I took it around and traveled with it, and that was having fun with it. And then whenever I was like, oh, you know what, this would be something good to share, you know, it was probably a year after that. It was probably one of the quickest releases actually I've done, to be honest with you, because most stuff, most things I have, you know, almost all of the Garcia projects I had, all that stuff was 5 to 10 years before I even released it.
Wow.
I just saw a video the other day of like, I think, did I show you that bill change in Vegas? It's like a slow bill change. I can do it later for you, but I just found a video of that thing. I came up with it. I didn't realize it was like almost 7 years ago, and I was like, whoa, like Jesus, I didn't realize it had been that long, because it's things that I continuously am like tweaking, continuously working on, and just trying to figure out, you know, what to do with this thing. But once I do realize that, I now had with Mintbox specifically, I had I knew that I wanted to get it, like I said before, I wanted to get a point across. And so I did everything the way that I wanted to do it, because I produced it from the ground up by myself. And so I knew I could do everything. I could get all the points across, you know, with the whole thing. That's why there was no like quotes. That's why there was no, you know, I didn't go ask like magicians for quotes. I didn't go put stuff all over the box. I wanted to treat it like, look, man, this is something I'm proud of. And once you get it in your hands, you should be able to feel, I think that the person that is getting that item should be able to feel like what this meant for me at that moment, because there's nothing that's trying to sell it. It's like, all right, here, this is the meat and potatoes, buddy. Like, here's the meat and potatoes of it. You know, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, then you don't. So that was a long-winded answer.
No. It's interesting, because I want to see the background. I mean, the reason of someone. Like my guesses, when I ask them a question, they explain from their point of view and also from their experience. That's for me, that is more interesting rather than just blah blah blah. And that's it.
No, you know what's awesome about that for me, man, is that it was the first time that I hired my parents to actually help me make it, because like, so my parents yeah, man, it was amazing. So my parents I've had the dopest parents in the world. They supported me from a very young age. I've been doing magic since I was 5 years old. So and they never, with the exception of like right when I was around 17 or 18, there was one moment whenever they questioned what I was doing. But that was, I mean, we've talked about that many times, but for 99.9% of my life, my parents were like, you go do you, like, go be what you want to be, and go try as hard as you can to be as good at it as you can. Like, they were amazingly supportive. And so they're both retired now. And I'm very lucky and very fortunate that I have a decent career, and that I can do things like this, to where I was able to like now hire my parents and be like, they didn't want to take any money. Like, they were like, no, of course not. Like, we're not doing anything. Like, we're retired. Like, let us just help. And I was like, no, I'm treating this like you are people that I am hiring, to do a job, to make this, because it made me feel amazing that I could like give back to my folks. I knew that they wouldn't just take money. Like, I'm not going to be able to be like, yo, here's a grip of money for you to just have. My parents would be like, you're ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Stop that. That's stupid. But I knew that if I gave them a task and was like, look, this is something that they would understand that meant something to me, and they would understand that I was helping, that they were helping me. And so it was a huge thing. So I hired my parents. They set up like a little factory area in their house. I actually booked a gig. I think I booked a consulting gig. I don't remember which, I can't remember what it was for, but I booked a consulting gig. And during the consulting gig, like, I'm like talking back and forth to my parents, my mom, my mom was like, oh, this type of paper feels like this type of paper feels, because I had everything. I had different samples brought, like, shipped in so that I could feel, because I wanted, like, I think that everything is an experience. Every single thing's an experience. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Apple, whenever you buy an Apple phone, you get the box and you feel the machine. Like, you can feel how much quality is put into these things. And I wanted the exact same thing to happen whenever you got this product, I put in quotes, but it's what it was. Whenever you felt this, whenever you got it at a magic shop, or you got it, let's say you ordered online, whenever it came in and you opened that box, the moment you took it out, I wanted like that dopamine rush and that serotonin to fire off, to be like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. You know what I mean? And so like my mom and dad are like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And this paper feels like this, and this one's a little silky, but this one has a little slickness, and it looks like you can see the fingerprints on it. And I was like, no fingerprints. I don't want, it was amazing, man. It was such a dope process. It was an awesome process.
It's like you have your own Apple company there.
Yeah, exactly, man. But it was like amazing. Like it was amazing being able to go into so much detail.
Yes.
And them not question anything. Like that's what was incredible, because like they just trusted, like they were like, look, it's your thing, you do what you want to do. And it was amazing, like going through this whole process and like, you know, not wanting there to be fingerprints and not wanting this to happen. And oh, but this paper scuffs up to this paper gets dirty too fast. So like, I don't, well, you know, and it's going to be shipped and it's going to be like in storage in different places and different fulfillment centers. And so like, if it builds dust too fast, then it's not going to look the same whenever. So it's like, it was really fun. Like I'm really anal with all that detail, but for me, it's like an amazing process. I love it.
Yeah, but it pays. I mean, when it comes to Indonesia, my series, and when I open it, I really felt that amazement, just like what you
awesome,
want to be. Yeah, and I at the first time, I always try when I bought something, especially like gimmick, I always try to open it and then not reading the manual or seeing the video of the anything. I'm just trying to figure out by myself, because I want to see how how complicated it is and how perfect it is. It was like when I first opened it and I was like, where's the gimmick? I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, I was like, what the hell? Okay, I have to read the manual. And then after I saw the how you said it and then everything, I was like, damn, you're so brilliant. I mean, that thing is so brilliant.
Thanks.
I mean, I never thought that. Well, I bought almost like card to box, like from the transparent one, the black card one, everything. I bought everything because for me it's a go-to tricks. It's a go-to routine. Yeah. And then from when I saw your trailer, your promo, your video promo, and I was like, oh, I think it's kind of like rational bringing that kind of mint box everywhere rather than you bringing like transparent. Hey, I have this. It's like ordinary stuff that you have in your pocket. And then when I know how it works and I know the effect of the gimmick, and I was like, I have to say something to this guy. I mean, and then I mean, until today. I mean, last time when I opened my suit, so I'm just like, I don't have anything to do for the last 30 days. And I was like, oh, I have my jacket, and I tried to like find something in the jacket. And I was like, hey, main box, and I just taking picture. If I'm not mistaken, I tag you, and I said, this is still the best props.
Oh man, right on, dude. Thanks, bro. Yeah, I mean, I really did. You know, what's funny is I think I have one right here. I've got a few of them right here. Because I change them up. It just depends on what I want to take out. But there's a few, like this one was, I did a thing in Canada, so I just stuck it inside of a little Canadian like tin, which is a different size than the actual one, but it still works. You know, so you can see it's a completely different shape. But this one really works really well. But this one's really fun, man. I was taking this one out for a while. This one I took all the stuff off. I just sanded all of the logos and everything off, and I put these little dashes on it. And so you pull this out, and they see all these dashes, and you don't say what they're for. And then you say, let's just see if this works again. But you have to say that word again. Let's just see if this works again. Name any card you want. And then I do an index system type thing, which for laymen don't even worry about it. But and then you do the exact same thing. You pull this rubber band off, do the exact same routine, and then you take the card out, give them the card. It's their card. They freak out, and then you just pull a Sharpie out and you just mark another little line on the thing, and you just close it up and you just put it. Yeah, it's really fun, man. So I've been having fun with that one right now too.
That's brilliant. Yeah, because probably like only 5% of the people when I did the tricks, they only like probably like 5%. They don't like, hey, what kind of mint is this? Because we don't have it in our country. That comes like mint box. So and then I just like had an idea. There's a time I had an idea, maybe I should customize it.
Yeah, you can just if you just take some sandpaper, you can sand off all the paint. It's just paint that's on that box, that silver box. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it.
thank you with the idea though. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, it's fun.
interesting, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
it's fun. It's a fun thing.
So yeah, so can we just move to the questions? I'm going to
Do
read
whatever you
some
want, bro.
comment.
I'm a long-winded person, so you tell me.
Is
Just
it-
be like, Danny, shut up. It's enough.
no, I need you to talk. So there's a magician here. He's one of the Indonesian magician that joined my it's a talent show, like magic talent show. So
Mhm.
in the last few months, I have a show called the Great Magicians,
Mhm.
and here's some of the contestant, and he's joining with us now, and he told me to ask you. Wait, you have a lecture. I have to find it. It's like long way up. He said, "What is your favorite lecture?" You have like a lot of lectures. Is it where or when? I'm just trying to find out where the chat is because it's too long.
Where's my favorite lecturer, or when? Who is my favorite lecturer? Is he talking about myself or talking about somebody else?
Hang on. I'm still searching it because I have no idea where the chat, his chat now, because it's vanished. It's gone.
If he's listening, just
But
ask the question again.
okay, I'm gonna say it in bahasa ya. Oke, Obi, tanya lagi Obi. Apa tadi pertanyaan lo? Tadi dia sempat. Oh ya, you have like your lecture,
Mhm.
like everywhere. Which lecture that you find most interesting or the best one? If
Like
I'm
the play,
mistaken,
which
maybe I can guess. Maybe is it in Japan?
that was I had an amazing time in Japan. Like that's a hard it's a really hard question because he's talking about my own personal lecture.
Yes,
Or like
your personal. Yeah.
There's different reasons for different places that I really like these lectures.
Yeah.
And so like there's always like these like, because the lecture it's the same material.
Yes.
More or less, you know what I mean? Like it's like I kind of have a very loose flow of like what I'm gonna do. I have an outline that I always follow. And so here you can just see it right here. This is my lecture.
But maybe more or less,
inside
it's just like a show, right? The show we do
Yeah,
the same
so
routine
I
every
design
time.
exactly, and I designed the lecture as a show because I realized
Oh,
very early on when I started lecturing that magicians still, they want to be entertained. Like they don't want to just go sit down and like learn about the new double lift. They want to be entertained. And so the lecture itself feels, even though it feels like a lecture, like I worked really hard to make it feel like a lecture, but also feel like a show at the exact same time, which is a really weird thing to say. And it's a weird thing to experience, but so you can see like behind this thing. So I've got like a basic outline of like what I'm going to do throughout this. So this is all behind the thing. And so like I can go in and I can go, okay, here's like, it's almost like a branching anagram. Like I can like, I go, okay, here's what's going to happen. And if somebody asks this question, then I'm going to go off into this tangent and then do this. And if somebody asks this, then I'm going to go do this. You know what I mean? But there's like core things that I want to get through. So because of that, there's like certain places that like really resonate with me. Like as far as, you know, Japan was amazing. Obviously just because, you know, friends over there, and like, it was just, you know, it was, I'd never been to Japan. It was my first time in Japan. So like it was experiencing the culture and being able to do magic like at the same time was amazing. Right. And so that was a very special thing, which is, I think, one of like the highlights of being able to do what we do. You know what I mean? Like you doing performances and shows and myself, you know, teaching. It's like you get to live this life that's incredible and that I'm completely amazingly grateful for. And you get to experience so much. But then there's like small things that like here's a great story, man. This was awesome. I'll give you the last lecture that was like, it was actually kind of crazy. Like it got me choked up, to be honest with you. It was in Singapore, and the night before I had booked this tour in a lot of Asia, right? And a lot of the cities were back to back. So, and like in a lot of cities in China, they really want to take you out for a good time. So, so each city would like take me out, and then I would have to be on a plane at like 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning to the next place, do a lecture that night, go out again, be on a plane at 8 o'clock the next morning, go on a plane the next, you know, that it was intense, right? And so I got up and I was rushing to get to the airport, and I had a like a handler that was helping me in difference, which was, you know, incredible. And so I was, I guess I had accidentally like knocked my glasses. Like I wear contacts, and so at night I'll put glasses on, right? So I guess I had knocked my glasses behind like my bedstand or something in the hotel. I don't know, because I always double check everything. And my glasses were gone. They were gone. And I had busted my eye the night before. And so I had tried to take my contact out, but when I took my contact, I just pinched too hard, and so it busted some blood vessels. So it looked a lot worse than what it was, but I also couldn't see, and it hurt to wear contacts because it's blood vessel. So I go to Singapore, and I show up immediately. You know, for the normal people watching, the muggles or laymen or whatever you want to call them. The magic community is insanely amazing, like insanely amazing. You can go anywhere in the world, send out one thing on, you know, Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, or whatever kind of social media that I don't keep up with, and you'll have 400 people, you know what I mean, in a second be like, what do you need? Where do you want to go? Here's it's amazing. It's one of the most beautiful things in communities ever. And so so they had showed up to take me to get some food, and then the lecture wasn't till night, so they were just going to kind of be like, hey, here's this, now you can go rest on stuff. Well, they show up and they see my eye, and they're like, whoa, what happened to your eye? And I was like, oh, you know, I pinched my eye when I was trying to take my contact out last night, and I might have had 1 or 2 drinks, who knows? And so I busted a thing, and I can't wear my contacts. I mean, I can't wear my glasses because I lost my glasses. My glasses, I forgot. They're not in my case. So I think that I dropped them on my nightstand. And they're like, oh, okay, well, let's go get some food. And within 15 minutes, they had organized to take me to an optometrist to get my eyes checked, to get glasses made for me within an hour, to pick out this whole thing. They bought them as a gift for me. They came and they were like, this is for us, for you just putting your magic out in the world. Here's a brand new pair of glasses for you for the rest of the tour. Here's this whole thing. And then on top of that, I go to the lecture. I'm already like in like an amazingly heart space because of this gesture that these people did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I'm doing magic. And as I'm doing, the questions are incredible. Like they're asking me these incredible questions that normally like, you know, you go to a magic lecture and it's like, okay, well, you know, whenever you're doing that move, sometimes is it better if you show the red card or is it better if you show the black card? Because and I was like, which are good questions. But these were questions that were like, do you, as opposed to like, is it better to use red or black? It was like, do you think that by showing a black card, their brain is going to go to this instead of you showing a red card? And I'm like, this is exactly the way I like to think. You know what I mean? Do you think that, like, I had one person that was like, I noticed that you bend at the waist a lot whenever you gesture towards somebody, which is like a thing that I had to like train myself to do. And so I was like, I was so blown back by like the amount of detail and the questions that they were asking me. It was insane. It's insane to feel, it made you feel respected in like something more than just you're creative. Like it like made me feel respected, like as like my brain. Does that make sense? Like on an intellectual level, it was an amazing feeling. I've never had that feeling before. And then at the end, I started doing, like, somebody asked me, they were like, hey, can you just perform Torn, which is my Torn Restored card trick? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, you know, hang on. So I get it set up real fast. It takes them 30 seconds to set up real fast. And as I'm doing it, like, I hear like, it's like I can't even imagine what like somebody like yourself who are in front of a lot of more people than what I'm in front of, or like a rock star that's, you know, playing their hit song. It's like the closest that I think I could ever be to that, because as I'm doing this, I see people mouthing words that I'm saying. I see like, I hear murmurs going through the whole crowd. It's a packed crowd. And I hear murmurs going through, and I'm doing all the, like, as I'm doing the moves, people, they're getting more excited and more excited. And before I'm done, they all jump and they're just, it was like, it was one of the most like emotional from a magic trick. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
from just a magic trick. And it was, I don't know, man, it was it held a really special place. That was probably the last time that I was like, I love every lecture, but that lecture specifically, the one that comes to mind, the most recent one, is probably that one, to be honest with you. Just because it meant more than just, it was real magic. It wasn't just magic tricks. It was real magic. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I do shows, the reaction and then the connection between me and an audience, that is the most important. The tricks or the routine that I've been doing is just a tools of how I can connect it with people.
1000%.
Yeah, so that's why maybe I understand how you feel when they just give you a big applause and then just showing your own creation that probably they already know from they buying the trick, or probably like from other lecture, but
man.
they still admiring you, and they still appreciate of what you do at that time.
It was insanely amazing, bro. Like, it was one of the dopest feelings ever. It was awesome.
There's a question now. Will you visit Jakarta? It's from Jackie.
Sure, man.
Will you visit? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not? I would love to. I wouldn't say no to pretty much. I might not go to a couple places right now just because of present situation.
I understand. We all completely understand, bro. We all completely understand. But yeah, as maybe one day I will invite you, and if you don't mind, we can do a lecture. Like, there's a few
100%
series that really knows you well, and then they want you to be in Jakarta.
I would love that. That would make me extremely happy. I would love to do that. Yeah, man.
So now
we'll have a good time.
Now we're going to a little bit go deeper to magic.
Okay, go for it.
But not really deep, because to be honest with you, maybe Indonesian magic is like way behind from America. It's like maybe that's just for my own opinion, but because I've been in the industry for like almost 20. I started professionally as on TV 2007, but I started professionally working as a magician is on year 2000. I start doing magic like from 6th grade. So like all in all, it's like 23 years I've been doing magic, but professionally on TV, I'm not good at math. Probably like 2007 now.
At least 5 years. At least 5 years. I said at least.
Yeah. But 13 years. I mean, and I've been through the like this and that, and also I saw some very interesting part when to be honest, David Copperfield is one of my I learned a lot from his shows, not from his lecture or everything, but I have like his 20 special DVDs, and I watch it every day at that time when I was started magic. I'm learning on how he communicate with the people, how he present his props, how he present his shows. I mean, it's a lot more very touching,
emotional.
I mean, emotional. I mean, he have like, it's like the pure art. Well, I'm not telling that other magician is not good, but for me, David Copperfield has like very own space in my heart because how he presented his shows is very amazing. So I tried to learn, and the most interesting at that part when I watch the DVD, and at the end there's a lot of list name of magician who helping him as consultant. So in this case, because you are now as a consultant, I mean, you work as a consultant helping magician, and if I'm mistaken, it's 13 years you consulting David Blaine. Yeah, 13 years. So here in Jakarta, maybe we know that we need consultant for our own TV shows or our own shows. Maybe 4 years behind, or like maybe like 7 years behind. Like 7 years ago, we just realized that we need consultant. But for me, I have consultant in 2012, 11. So yeah, it's more like 8 to 9 years ago. So we realized that I think we need consultant. But some of them didn't realize that there's a really, not really, but important part as a consultant in the shows. Some of them all didn't really realize. They just like do the show, and then they don't have someone to consult. They do everything by their own self. So sometimes they kind of mess up when on stage, when they have to prepare. Shit, I didn't know that I have to do blah blah blah. Especially on TV, sometimes they don't understand. So maybe you can give a, like, I know from your point of view how important it is to have consultant, or maybe you have like, oh, you don't need consultant.
I mean, it's different for everybody, man, to be honest with you. It depends on, man, that is a hard question. There's different types of people that a show like a TV show would need, right? And a lot of people call themselves consultants right now that aren't consultants. They're content creators, right? They're creating ideas, and which is all valued in itself. They're creating, different visuals, creating magic tricks, things like that. And then you've got consultants, and these are people that will come in that you respect. They wear so many hats, right? Where they understand things that are not, it's just, they understand like who the person is. So for you, example, they would go in and they would, like, you watch Copperfield, right? You watch those Copperfield things, and you study it, and you're like, man, everything about this is beautiful. This is art, right? Everything that this man is doing is for a purpose. You see through that, right?
Yeah.
But then you see, like, you may not understand until you're with him and you spend time with him, and you go, oh, like, this is what this type of person is, right? So for myself, I always try to connect with the person first, just on a personal level, like, not magic yet, like, just let me figure out who this person is, like, who they are for real, at least who they're going to show me they are, right? And maybe not their own, like, they're probably not going to let me in instantly, but just who, like, that person they're going to let me see is. Then after that, I want to know the type of magician, like, what's the message that they're trying to give out? Like, what kind of magic are they wanting to do? Like, because everybody's different. So now you have to figure out what that, I think a really good consultant can go, this is the actual person. This is the person that they're trying to show the world now. What's that bridge that I can kind of bridge together? And then where's that piece of me that I can put in there to help them as far as magically, right? That's an actual consultant. So you take their strengths from both sides, from both people. You take their strength as a normal, regular human person that they're showing you. You take their strength as the magician that they're trying to portray to the world. And then you go, okay, now let me be the person that ties those threads together. And then there's another part on top of that, which is, okay, now I need to design magic that is going to fit that, right? Like, I can't just go and, like, Blaine's a very good example, because there's things that I can be like, this is something for David, that if I were to give to you, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to come out the same. It's not going to have the same message. It's not going to have the same feeling. It's not going to have the same meaning, and it's not going to be authentic to you, right? What you're looking for as a really good consultant, for anybody out there that's watching this that wants a consultant specifically for magic, or a creative consultant just besides that, is you want somebody who understands the authentic you. You understand somebody that understands the authentic character, and then you create the effect that is authentic for both, that ties those together, that ties that authenticity together. That's a good consultant, on top of 15 other things that person has to do. It's like, so that's the hard part. Like, it's not that you don't need a consultant, because a lot of people don't need consultants at all. You know what I mean? It's like, if I know that if I had a show, if I, for some reason, let's just say for some reason, I was in a completely different mindset that I am right now. And I was like, you know what? I do want to do a show. That is something that I want to do. I'm still going to hire consultants.
Mm.
And I mean, I come up with a lot of magic. I'm still going to hire consultants because those are views that I can't see, because I'm blinded by my own authenticity. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to reach out of these different zones. And so I think there comes like a certain amount of ego that has to get pushed aside. And that you have to like kind of get past to go, look, these people, you know, there's different things that I need to be able to kind of see and different paths that I want to be able to take. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not going to say that a consultant is important, but I will say that that pushing ego aside and seeing multiple views is very important. And
Exactly.
trying to understand that.
Agree. So what you're saying is that there's many different kind of consultant, but if you could find the one that can help you to become the better you, and seeing this magician that you'll be consult with, to see from other point of view, perspective.
Yeah. Or multiple ones. It doesn't have to be one. It can be multiple, as long as you understand what that person's role is. And as long as that person kind of understands what their role is too. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part about putting a team together, to be honest with you, is being able to manage the team. Like the team, you know, the team working as a unit, as opposed to, no, but this is my idea and this is my idea, but you should do this and you should do that. And no, but I don't agree with that. Well, you might not agree with that.
Yeah. Well, it's like a probably like common sayings that if you could find a magician and then make it in the group, that's already amazing, because magician never come in a group.
Yeah, man, there's a level of comfort and there's a level of creativity blossoms whenever ego is pushed aside, and when there's a respect between everybody, and whenever they understand that there is not one right, there's a collective. That's the team is everything. So you might not need one person, you might not need 10. You know, I mean, who knows what you need, but it's going to be what you kind of feel is right. And anybody that's hiring a consultant, you know, if you have a show already, then I mean, for at least the way I see it is, a lot of people, everybody needs content right now, right? So there's a lot of shows that get greenlit that really have no reason, no business being greenlit also. And then there's like these amazing shows that get greenlit that are like, oh, this person gets it. Like this person has something they want to say. This person has something, you know, and then you've got like people that are artists that are just straight up artists. And you're like, you know, David is a straight up artist. Like there's no and if what's buts about it like that. Anybody that, and people may not see that, but when you're around him enough, you get it. Like you're like, oh no, like I get it. Like I get that. And so when you're around those type of people may not need anything. You know what I mean? They understand, they value opinions. They value like, oh, this person thinks differently. This person brain works just this much, whether it be a 5% different than the rest of the world. This person just thinks differently, and that difference inspires me. So I would rather have that inspiration around, because it makes me the best version of me. I think that's what you want to find, is the people to be around you that are going to make the best version of you.
Yeah, I think not just in the magic community, you know, or the magic industry. I think that's we need in our life.
I 1000% agree with that, man. It's like it's really funny because right now I'm doing more consulting for non-magic things at the moment. Yeah, it's but it's using magical thinking, which is really amazing. Because it's the same type of thing. It's people that are like, oh, you just think differently. Like, and it's less drama, which is awesome.
May I know what kind of like consulting that you have right now that non-magical?
I mean, a lot of stuff I can't talk about right now, but just because it hasn't come out. But I mean, it could be anything, man. It literally, you can use magical thinking for any. I'll give you an example. I've taken meetings with jewelry designers, where it was like, we want to create a display for this jewelry. So how would you create the display?
and unique and more interesting rather than
Exactly.
other, because
Like
there's a
magicians
thousand
just think
people.
different.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
They just think differently. Magicians think differently. And so, but any kind of experience, there's a lot of experience things that have been happening recently, where it's just certain, like it might be happen over the course of a couple of hours, or it's like there's just these different. I just did that Invisible Man. That Invisible Man movie came out over here, and so just that Invisible Man press junket. It was a press junket to create like an experience during this press junket. So it's just all these different things that use magical thinking, but they're just really fun because you're kind of just branching out more. Like people are just like, oh, and they're not used to that kind of thinking, which is amazing. Like you come in and they're just like, whoa, we didn't even think about this. And you're like, well, that's why we're here.
So now there's a friend of mine here. His name is Bo Vernon. He's my best friend. We grow. I mean, we started me started professionally and joined the community with him, and now he also become one of the best musicians in Indonesia. And then if few years back, he decided to become as the one that behind the curtain and helps magician like someone like me, and also do you know Rihanna, Secret Rihanna? The Secret Rihanna, she won the
yes.
If I'm mistaken, last time Enrico helped her for the AGT also.
Right on. Sweet.
Yeah. So, and Bo Vernon is her consultant. So he helped 100% Rihanna and also other magicians. Yeah. And he asked me to ask to you, beside magic, what kind of thing that you like, and then how it affect you creating your lecture or your idea or your gimmick. Is it to perform, or is it the idea that you have beside magic? Is it you're using it for you as a consultant to help someone?
As far as like what other things that I'm into, or is that two different questions?
First, what kind of thing that you into beside magic, and then does it affect you to design, help everything?
So I'm gonna kind of Tarantino this. Yes, I think that everything helps you create. Every single thing. There is inspiration comes from everywhere.
And
anything, literally anything. You might like the wallpaper that is on the wall next to me. It looks like brick, right? But like I look at the depth that I see in this brick wallpaper, and I'm like, man, the depth looks amazing. I could use this for XYZ. And then I just file that away. Like it's like I'm not gonna sit down and take a sample of this. You know what I mean? It's like, but like I just file it. It gets filed away into this.
Capturing it and then save it in your brain, and maybe you can use it later.
Yeah, exactly. Books. I've been doing a lot of reading lately, which it normally used to take me a while to finish things, but for some reason, within the last, I guess probably within the last year, little less than a year, I've been getting really heavy into reading. I've always been into like different psychology books and different things like that. But those ideas and concepts, like it's just kind of help, for me at least, they help like kind of my brain go in a different direction. Music. So anything, inspiration literally comes from anywhere. One of the big things is that I noticed recently is deadlines. Procrastination for some reason pulls a lot of creativity out of me, which is a bad thing. But going in because of that, like finding inspiration in other things is literally what helps me. Like it fuels me. So if I need to, like my buddy Blake and I have been doing this kind of creative assignments.
Blake Pope.
Yep, Blake. Yep. And so we've been doing these creative assignments. They last all week long. We give each other an assignment at the beginning of the week. The next week on the same day, we show each other what we did. And it may not be a magic trick. It's just a creative assignment. And so I noticed that and this is something that I do always with magic as well. I go and I just go look at something that I would never normally do, right? So like, I'll give you an example of like, there's an app called Touch of Modern, or Fancy, or even Instagram. If you go follow any like the designing Instagram, you know, modern design, or any of these like kind of designing Instagram things.
Yeah.
And it's just all these different like photos of just, it could be anything. It could be a lamp, it could be a coffee machine, it could be
living room, like everything.
Yeah, anything. The bedroom layouts, packaging design. I go in and this is literally a daily thing for me. I go through and I'll probably spend a good 15 or 20 minutes just going through these design things. I'm not liking anything. I'm not subscribing. I'm not putting little poop hearts. Like none of that is happening.
No, because you're lazy. Because you're lazy.
Yeah, none of that's happening. All that's happening is literally just me going, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. But sometimes something will happen where I'll be like, oh, what if I did this? Or what if I did this? Like I think there was one that I saw. Let me see. What was the last? Not the last picture, but I'll show you. Like, it's probably in my favorites, to be honest with you.
And then suddenly you're just like connecting the dots. Like, I have that. I don't know, somewhere.
Yeah, but like fire. You know what I mean? Like it happens so fast, where you're just like, oh, like here's a good one. So I saw this on one of the things, right? It's a bracelet.
Yeah.
So it's a bracelet that looks like the inside of like a watch, but with no insides, right?
Yeah.
It's hollow, but it's got everything else. But for me, that's amazing, right? Because now I just look at that one image, and in my head, I just go, there's 15 different tricks that I can now do with this one thing. You know what I mean? And then I go through and then I go, okay, well, the obvious is going to be like, I make a signed coin appear inside of it. And maybe I have like all the gears in my hand, you know, like I sign coin, I do this, boom, there's all the gears. And now the signed coin's inside of this. Or, you know, just whatever. It doesn't matter what if this whole thing wasn't even brass, it looks like brass. So what if this whole thing was made out of cardboard? You know what I mean? This is all just paper. It's
it triggers you, and then all the ideas came out.
Everything literally just starts falling into place. It won't stop, right? So I do that a lot. But as far as like other things that I'm into, so that was the second part of the question as far as the inspiration and creativity. Other things that I'm into music a lot. I really love writing music that I would probably never show anybody and probably never play for people. But for me,
why we want you?
No, to be honest with you, man, it's like, it's really funny. It makes me uncomfortable, but it makes me uncomfortable because I'm not good at it. I'm like the conceited ego part of me likes to be good at things that I do. Like I've always kind of been a jack of all trades, and so like I can do things better, you know, than some people, but not good enough to be considered like amazing, you know. But I really enjoy writing. So I play music pretty much every day. I love art, so I do a lot of different like drawings and like but it's just mainly just sketches just to get different things out. I like anything creative, so anything that's creative. But those are the two probably main things. I love, this is a really weird one, but I love reading quotes. So I really like reading like small little quotes. And so like I love the cleverness behind certain things. So I like write down like I write down like little like this here. I'll show you. This is like I did this the other day, which was kind of funny, just because I thought it was kind of cool. I think I sent it out on Twitter, but I just liked how it made your brain work, which is good. So it was this, which was kind of neat. So it's hard to kind of see in frame, but whenever you read it, so I did this list, right? And it says, how many words do I write to say what I feel through day and night? Do I put down? And then I left these blank, but it's 20, 21, 22, or maybe just 3 words will do. And what this did for me, it was really cool because I wrote this out first. I wrote it on my phone, and then I was out, and I would just be out with friends. This is obviously before social distancing and quarantine. And I was like, here, check this out. And it would be like if something came up about writing, and I would give them the thing, and their brain would do it every single time. Their brain would read down the list, and then they would go jump to the numbers, and they would go down. But for me, that was fascinating. Like, just that one small part is what I found fascinating, was that the rhyme of no words connecting to the numbers to make a point, and them being in the exact specific position that it's supposed to be in for this to work, the amount of words being in the position to make the brain do this. For me, that's what, like, I find that creative. Does that make sense? Like, that's like, it makes me go, oh, so yeah, it's a really, so those are probably the three things like right now that I'm really into.
Maybe you're liking it because it's only words, but it can affect us and how the brain works.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something that makes you like think, right? It just like it does this like crazy it does this crazy thing. Hold on 1 second, because my computer's getting ready to die.
Lampu gue kenapa mati?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Just working on my lab also. Why it keep on and off
for no reason.
Yeah, it makes the brain do something different than what it would normally do, and I find that exciting.
So there's a question from a Method of Magic. Do you have a creativity schedule, like some author write 20 pages a day, no matter what?
No, I find that that I can't stick to that schedule. I used to do a thing with a journal, a creative journal, that was really fun. I haven't done it in a while. But I think I came up with an idea to do an app the other day, which is really fun, where I think that I think it'll work, but I'll explain that in a second. But I don't have like a schedule that I follow. I have things that I do. So like going through like the Instagram design things. I do Fancy a lot. It's an app called Fancy. I go through and look at those photos. I'm a very visual person, so when I see something, I get a lot of ideas. I used to go walk through, which I haven't done in a while actually, but I'll go through a bookstore, go through like Barnes and Noble, and I just look at the covers of all the books, and then the covers are like super interesting. So I would see a cover and be like, oh, what would that magic trick be? If that was a magic trick, what would the cover of that book? Maybe it's it could be anything, you know what I mean? It could be a match, but instead of the fire, it's ice. You know what I mean? In the shape of a thing. So then I'll like reverse engineer that. Well, if I designed that cover for a trick, what would the effect be that I'm trying to sell? And then it opens me up to different types of things. This thing with Blake right now has really been an amazing creative kind of like boost, because we have to like, we're forcing ourselves to create throughout the week, but we're both not lazy. We're both procrastinators. So we kind of wait till the last minute. And also we're doing other things throughout the week too, you know what I mean? So I think one of the hardest things about trying to be creative all the time is that like you just get mentally burnt out, like straight up mentally burnt out. And so most people where they're like, yeah, but you're not working, you're like exhausted. Like because you're thinking all day long.
Yes.
So by the end of the day, you don't want to think anymore. Like you're just like, man, I want to shut down. Like I just want to not have to, but you can't. That's the problem. Like there is no, like there is no shut off. Like it's like you might be like, tonight I'm just gonna watch a movie with my girl, right? And that does not happen. Like the movie's on.
And it's like
the movie's playing.
And then sometimes like my wife is like, when I saw a movie and I was like taking some notes, and then sometimes I get also an idea from the movie. I was like, oh, this is
exactly.
And then she was like, sorry, please.
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
I thought we were gonna do this. I thought it's like you can't turn, it doesn't turn off. Like that just doesn't shut off.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. You know what I mean? It's like there is no shut off. So
do you have like there's a moment when you're like okay, it's like maybe it's already late, and then you're trying to figure out the ideas, and then it didn't happen. It's like, okay, I'm going to sleep. And then you cannot, and then you still like thinking, your eyes closed, but you're still like, what is this? What if like that? What if like?
The worst is whenever you do it throughout the night, right? So like, let's say, because if I have something that like really that I get interested in, I'll keep work. You know, time goes away. Time goes away. Food goes away. Like I just don't. That just shuts off, and I'll just continuously go, and then I'll look up and I'll be like, oh shit, it's 5:30 in the morning. Like I need to try to get some sleep, and then I'll go lay down, and then it's another hour laying in bed of just but then me, like I'm a pen and paper guy. Like I really like to put I use my notebooks a lot, and so I'm like, man, I really need to write this down though, because I'll forget it.
Exactly. He's like,
so then I have to like get back up again and go back after the thing. And then, like,
been there.
and then I'm out.
That's happened to me also. When I well, there's a time when I work for a event and then for a corporate, and then they want me to make something from their product, and I just keep trying, like, what if I do this? What if I do that? And then what if I like there's a lot of things in my mind, and I saw the clock. It's like already 5 a.m. in the morning, and I have to be in flight for my next show on another city in a couple hours, probably like 3 hours. And then okay, I have to go to sleep. I have to put my tools away, and I take off the light, and I have to go to bed. Already, well, I'm planning to go off to bed, and then like 5 minutes later, I was like, I had this idea. Turn the light, and then no sleep at all. I just slept and plane and the way from Jakarta to Surabaya to other city. It's like 1.5 hours, and I have to go to sleep there, but no sleep at all at my place.
Yeah, man, it doesn't work like that. Yeah,
we cannot control it. We cannot control it.
Yeah, you can't get. You know, it's funny. I had somebody the other day, like this client that was like, I just need you to tap a little bit deeper into your creativity. And like and in my head, I was like,
you cannot like just tap. This not
you want to just turn it on? Why don't you explain to me a little bit better, like what you want, and maybe I'll give you other answers. Maybe. But you just turn it on.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. It's
so funny,
but the thing that I was saying earlier was is that there's two things. The thing with Blake has been amazing because it's something that I'd never thought about, which I've subconsciously done, but because we're presenting to each other, I am now trying to impress Blake, but I understand how Blake thinks. So I'm thinking differently because I'm trying to impress a certain mindset that's already a really smart mindset. So it's forcing me to think in different routes, which is really amazing. So that's something that's been a really good, like, kind of a fascinating, not that I haven't done that, but a realization that I do that, which is amazing. And then the other thing that it made me think about was I used to do this thing where I would write down an idea in a notebook in the morning. First thing I wake up, I'd open my eyes, I'd write down 3 ideas, I'd turn the page and not look at it for a month. And I would do it every single morning. Boom, 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 boom. And I really do need to find that notebook. And then a month later, I would open up the page. And then after my coffee, I would read the 3 ideas that were nonsense and crazy because it was the first thing in the morning. And I would write down what I thought I was talking about. And I would turn the page. And then when that month was done, I would have this notebook of these really crazy things that I could just go through. And a lot of them made no sense, but like it might spark something. But it gave me the idea to do a video app, like a journal app, to where it's like a locked journal where you can video yourself. And it's a very easy program. I think I'm going to have a buddy of mine write it probably this week, where you record either your idea or you jot your idea down. But as soon as you hit enter, it locks you out of it. And you set your time period where you can't go read that anymore. Like it's done. So then in a month or a week or whatever the time period is, you go back and now you can read what you had thought before. But because it's a different mindset, you can now evaluate and kind of go through and put down your new notes, and then it locks you out again for another week. So it forces you to keep thinking about these things, which I think is a really interesting idea.
Yeah, because sometimes the ideas happen, but the method comes later. Maybe we will know the how it's done. It's like maybe few years or maybe like,
or flip,
I don't know when.
Right? Sometimes the method happens. And you're like, man, this is a really cool idea for something. And then later on, you're like, oh, I can use that with this.
Yeah,
definitely.
Same thing. I think we have like just small in common. I don't know, because we just talk like maybe 70 minutes, and then I found that you're a very interesting person because you you have your own idea from experiencing like what you see, and it can be anything. For instance, you have like Instagram. Only from Instagram you have an idea, and the same thing like me. Sometimes the one that triggers me is not magic video, but sometimes it's a fashion. Sometimes it's a gallery, like an art gallery, probably.
Yeah, man, that's why, one of my favorite things to do, man. Is go to an art gallery.
That's why when you look at my like search part in my Instagram, it comes like in different kind of thing, because it can be automotive, like cars, motorcycle, and fashion, like less magic.
Yeah, I mean, even like we're just looking at you, like even the shoes behind you, you know what I mean? Like if you look at like that already in itself is a truly creative, like you can sit there and stare at that and come up with 15 different ideas to do with just that one thing. Everything from like, you know, I look at that thing behind you and I'm like, I don't notice the shoes first. I notice the display first. I notice the light bouncing off of the display first. I notice like the shape of the display. Is it multiple? Is it, so I know that it has a piece of plastic in front because of this light thing here. I like all these, so all these different things. And then after that, I notice the shoes, and then I notice the color schemes of the shoes and like the logos. So it just like everything just starts bouncing, boom, 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 and just starts putting all. It's a fun thing, man. I love it. I love creating.
And then suddenly, you capturing all the moment in one place, and then suddenly there's a time or there's a talk that triggers you, like, hey, what do you do something with this? And then suddenly you came up an idea with the shoes and everything, or probably like the props. That's the most interesting part when doing the creativity in magic, right?
Yeah, man, I love it. Another big thing that I love too is I think that it goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier about where you're trying to impress a different mindset. I find that trying to creativity can come differently whenever I'm trying to do. I have an understanding, I think, of like what people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's what you would normally think of, right? Like that's what would, like if there was a pair of shoes in front of you, like the obvious to go to, if somebody's like, do something with these laces, then there's like 3 obvious tricks that would come to mind. You know what I mean? So then I try to just avoid that. Like if these are what normal, like it's going to be the normal solution, then let me just not even go down that route. And it might come back to that route with a creative solution, but that's not where I'm going to start.
Yeah. Maybe that will be your last option.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you already have your last option. But maybe for you it's like, well, not literally, but that's too easy. You want
that's
something else. Yeah,
way too easy. And then
that's
part
already
that's my
done.
own ego though too, right?
Same thing.
That's my own ego. It's like
it's like some magician here in Indonesia. They do some like like magic with Pringles or like the ordinary objects, and then I found that interesting, and I was like, I want to do it differently, but with my own. So no magician will know how it's done, because it's never been published yet or never been create the trick or the method. I just try to mess up with my own brain.
Yeah,
like I want to push it to the limit. It's like when I do this, I want someone will say it, or someone will think that, damn, how did you get those ideas from?
Exactly. Yeah. Where did that come from? It's really funny because I get self-conscious whenever, like, if I'm the lead of a team, I get very self-conscious because I say no a lot. But I say but it's because there's like, we'll come up with, and I truly believe that there isn't, it's not a bad idea, it's just the wrong idea for that thing. So like we'll come up with lists of ideas, boom, boom, boom. But you'll like physically see me get excited about something. Like you'll see it turn on because like there'll be a little bing where I'm like, I don't know what it is about this, but this is interesting to me. Something about this is interesting to me. And so I go help out with Tannen's Magic Camp whenever the camp goes. And I did a class on creativity last year, and it was really funny because the very last thing we did was I was like, look, let's just come up with a trick right now. Let's just do it. And so I had a big big whiteboard. And I said, let's just give me a bunch of objects. Just start saying stuff out loud. And all the kids are just yelling things: Coke bottle, sneakers, notebook, backpack. And I'm writing everything down. And then something would go off in my head, like when I would hear something, and I would put a square around it real fast. I would just write, boom, and I put a square around it, boom, boom. And then I would put dots in this kind. So at the very end, I'd be, oh, look, this is everything you guys said. And I'll be, okay, what are things that we can do? So I put squares around these because these made my brain trigger. Like, I don't know what it is, but something about what you said with this, right? made my brain trigger. So let's come up with what are 3 things we can do with this. Boom, and I start writing them down. Bam, and I put a box around something there. Boom, 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 boom. So at the very end, there was this huge layout, and it was like, all right, this something about this is interesting, something about this is interesting, and something about this is interesting. So now let's mix all those up, right? Instead of this being done with this Coke bottle, let's now do this with this shoe. And now let's take this, and now instead of this doing this, let's put this. And it was amazing to watch these kids because first, they're in a safe environment. They don't feel like they're stupid. So they don't feel like anything they say. That's the biggest part that you have to get past, is feeling like you're going to be rejected, feeling respected. And once you're respected, everything just starts coming out, right? It doesn't matter if it's a no or not. It's just like, blah, blah. I've done work with one of my buddies, Jesse, and Jesse, one of the things that I love about Jesse is that Jesse does not get discouraged. Like, Jesse will throw out the most ridiculous ideas ever. And it's not that they're ridiculous, they're actually amazing ideas. Like, it just might be that they cost too much money, right?
Yes,
It might be like, look, like, I'm sorry, Jesse, like, I can't dig a 4-story hole down into the ground, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it might be something like that, but the thought itself is incredible, right?
Yes.
The thought itself, the solution is incredible. Just that way of thinking, you turn something on its head and you come up with a different solution. But he's one of my favorites because there is no discouragement. It's just, he just rolls with it. He's like, this. It's amazing, man. It's awesome. Those are amazing people. Like, when you find those kind of people to work with.
So when you're consulting magician, so for instance, like David Blaine, do you have like a team, like team of 5 or a team of, or just you?
It depends. So this last show was very different. With David, it was very different because I came on with David as they hired me just I was going to go up there for 1 week, and it was kind of like a test week, I guess. And after the first day, they asked me if I could stay for the month, and then after that week, they asked if I could stay for 6 months or whatever it was. So it was a very rapid, like, real fast. Then the next show, I was put in charge of actually putting a team together, which was amazing. And that had happened because over the years I had started putting teams together. I'd gone and done stuff for all these other magicians, and I had started bringing on creatives, and I'd started putting different people together that complemented each other, right? Their strengths and their weaknesses all complemented each other. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you can do, because team is literally everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes that can't happen. So like with this last show, that couldn't happen with the last David show. I couldn't put a team together, which is really difficult actually, man. It's a lot of pressure, to be honest with you. But it's a lot of pressure both creatively, but also personal pressure too, because you've got a team that is looking forward to doing work that you just can't, like, because it's not up to you, right? It's up to it's up to them, and it's up to the people that are paying the bills, man. It's like, I'm not it's not my company that's paying them, you know what I mean? So so you can't do that. There's sacrifices that you can make. So like for some shows, like they only have certain budgets because there's only a certain amount of money that's given. So there's sacrifices that you can make. You can take, you can negotiate with different people and try to get prices down, take some of your own salary and move that around, that kind of stuff. Try to move budget around. But for the last show, it was a lot harder because we couldn't bring a team on there. We just couldn't afford a team. But it's hard because it's like, it's a lot of pressure on you to flesh out a lot of ideas. And so it was really, really difficult. It was the last show we did. It was amazing because I could have, the whole team there. But it was, and it wasn't even the whole team. Like I could have some of the team there. So before there was Alex and Blake and Rico and myself, you know what I mean? It was like, there was this big team. We brought Lisa on, like it was a bunch of different things. And then the next show, it was like, okay, well, Alex couldn't come on, and we brought Marcus on. And so I tend to try to start switching people. Like if I can't do it, I have a group of people that I like go through because I trust them, one. And creativity is given. Like that's not even part of the situation. If you're already going to be a part of the team, then you're already creative, you know what I mean? Or else you're just not going to be there. So it's more of like how you can kind of manage everything gelling together. And so for the last show, it was cool because, you know, everything, you know, I could swap out certain people. Blake couldn't come on for the last show. Alex couldn't come on for the last show. So you can bring in replacements for these people. And then for this one, we couldn't do anything for this last show. So I was able to bring on Marcus for a short amount of time. I was able to bring him on to help out with some building, and obviously he's creative. But to help out with building and with bouncing, because you always want somebody to bounce ideas off of, you know what I mean? So that was fun. And then we were able to kind of like bring certain people in, but just to build. So like I was able to bring Blake in, but I was only able to bring Blake in for like 2 days. And in that 2 days, it's like, all right, can you finish these 10 things for me? You know what I mean? And then it's like,
no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
No pressure.
So it's hard, man. It's a difficult thing. It's stressful. It's a lot more stressful than people think, but it's fun and I love it. But yeah, man, it's different. That's the long-winded answer to that question. It's always different.
So what is how it works as a consultant? I mean, in Indonesia, some part of the consultant means that you are consulting. The idea is already come from the magician. So for it's just like from me, and for I'm for example, like me and my friend Bo. So the idea came from me, and I consult to Bo about this blah blah blah, the idea, and then he jump in and then polish the idea, and then he helped me producing it. So he make the props.
Mm-hmm.
So is it part of the concept of consulting in your point of view? I mean, what you're doing now with David, is it you're the one who also built the props, built his things, or just consulting ideas? So it's like I have this like 100 ideas that maybe works, blah, and then the team organized, and then okay, we took 5 of your ideas, could you make it? Or just like ideas?
It's always different. Like always, it's always different. So there's certain things that I'll build, but I'll build it because I know what my attention to detail is, and I'm a perfectionist when it comes to certain things, and so I'm like, I know that if I do it, then it'll be done right. So it'll take a little bit longer, right? But it'll be done right. But a lot of things, like I just don't have time to do it. So the cool thing about putting like the team that I kind of curated, I guess the people that I kind of curated, maybe I should say, not really a team, because the team is a collective. The team is everything. You know what I mean? Nobody owns the team. The team is its own entity. But the curation of all the individuals they're all skilled, and they're skilled built. Like there's skilled builders, there's skilled thinkers, there's skilled polishers, there's skilled, you know what I mean? So everything kind of bounces around between everybody else, right? So like I'll just take it with myself just to give you kind of the layout. I always come up. So what I'll do is I'll come up with a ton of ideas. So I'll just write down nothing, but let me see if I have a notebook in here. I mean, I know I have a notebook in here, but let me see if there's a notebook that I can flash for a second without getting in trouble. So I'll just have a bunch of things that I just start jotting. Way too many notebooks, bro. That I just start. So here's a bunch of. So here's a good example. So this will start.
Maybe
so this will all.
Okay.
This will all start boom, 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 right? So I just start writing down stuff, bah, 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 and I just start literally tons and tons of things, right? I just list the things, bah, 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 bah. And then I'll come with David specifically, and then I'll come into David's office, and it's all nope. So then I'll come into David, and I'll go, okay, here's what I got, and we'll sit down, and I'll just start reading them off, boom, 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 and he'll either say no or yes. And if he says yes, perfect. If he says no, I stick a little dot by it. And that's because I know that he maybe just doesn't see what I see, or it's one of two things. It's either he hates it or he just doesn't see what I see. And so I'll just put a dot. And then I'll revisit that later on. over the course of a little bit of time. So, and then I take all those ideas and go, okay, these are possible with the amount of money we have and the amount of effort that needs to be put in.
Yeah.
And then that gets put into a different list. And then I go, okay, this would be amazing for this person to build. This would be amazing for this person to build. This would be amazing for this person to build. And then I now present it to the team, or present it to a builder, or like split up the build. Okay, this was like what was it Batman Begins? Whenever Christian Bale and what's the guy? And he's
Batman
like,
Begins.
we can order these ears in China over here.
This
thing over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you like when it comes together, and then you like what do you call it? How it's done, like assemble it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then you can do something like that where you're like, oh, I can get this done, or I can get this done, I can get this done, and we'll just put or I can get this specific part done. And now we just have to add 3 magnets and this to this and this and this, and it'll make it work. You know what I mean? So it happens like that. It happens like that a lot. So there's not one specific build. There's things like Rico has amazing attention to detail. You know what I mean? So Rico might be like, nope, I want to do this. Like, this is something I want to build, right? But also it might be something like there was a trick that we wanted to do with a cigar box. This is just the first one that came to mind, where the first cigar box that was built looked fine, and to anybody else it would have been perfect, and it was another member of the team had built it, and it worked. It was fine. But for myself and for Rico, without either of us like consulting with each other, we both knew by looking at it that it just wasn't right. Like, it's just not right. It's just not there. It's for anybody else, it would have been fine. But there was just something that just wasn't right about it. Like, the attention to detail, there was just something not right. So then Rico, without saying anything, went and just did his own. And then brought that and was like, here's this. And instantly I'm like, yeah, this is what this needs to look like. This needs to look like this. This is exactly what it. But that's like an instinct that you just have, right? That's like something that you just kind of feel is like, this could be better. You know what I mean? And it's not that the first one wasn't good. Yeah, it just didn't feel the same as
seems. Yeah,
exactly. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Understand.
And a lot of times people don't see that, right? They don't understand.
Yeah, but from our point of view, it's like,
there's something.
There's like
something
small details missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. So if I'm mistaken, that is it you or Lisa who contact me for the Drummond, episode of Drummond, the MC?
Oh, I think Lisa contacted you. I had an idea to do it was the cement cement thing. So I had this idea to do a version of that with a design. I had like this design in mind, and I'm pretty sure that Lisa was the one that had actually had brought you up actually. And then that's another big thing that we do all the time too, is just with anybody work with, is if something comes up that we want to reach out and try to figure out, like, okay, where is this at as far as this person's idea, as far as this, was it this, was it that? We want to, as you saw, like, I mean, you were on the other end of that. So that was and thank you for that, by the way. That was
No, it's my pleasure, because when I saw it live on Netflix, and it's so brilliant. I mean, it brings my act to another level.
Right on, man. Right on.
Yeah. And then Lisa asked me, I still remember Lisa asked me, is it your original or you inspired by someone? And I was like, no, it's my own. I think so far as I know, it's my own. I've never been done by anyone.
Yeah.
And then she asked me a permission if she could do it for Drummond in new Netflix, and I say, oh no, why not? I'm very it is an honor for me, because Drummond will do it, and then I know Lisa, and I know Enrique. I mean, I think my act is in the good hand. So
that's awesome. Thanks, dude.
No, because sometimes when you ask permission to someone and that person make it worse, it's kind of like sad. Yeah. But when Lisa asked, and then it's for a Drummond, and I know you will be in the team, and then Enrico, and it's like, oh, it's in a good hand. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I think that's the best way to do it.
It's turned out perfectly. And what Drummond said in the special, he said that the reason why he's doing it is because if you buried someone underground, no one see it. So he will be. So it's the same reason every time I do it on my off-air shows.
Right on.
Because I love the idea of the buried life in the ground, but I cannot bring it on stage. So that's the reason I want to show you. This is what it's done. This is what happened inside the ground. So I mean, like, I'm truly
good way of thinking. Oh no, it's. I mean, it was amazing that you allowed that to, and that's. I mean, like, Lisa did a great job too asking that question, which is amazing, right? Because if it wasn't, like, if that was inspired, then we want to continue that trail to go down and be like, okay, well, he got inspiration from this, and this got inspiration from, and then you just want to keep following that trail and just get. It doesn't. I think magicians nowadays get so caught up in, oh yeah, but you know, this idea and this idea. It's like, look, man, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. Every single one of us are standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
So might as well give them the credit, man.
Yeah. So that's also happening in, maybe it's happening in every country, like mostly to magicians. Sometimes they don't want to ask permission. They just steal it. Yeah, I mean, it's so sad knowing that some of the magicians who saw the MC special, the Death by Magic, and then he just texts me, "Hey, Drummond steals your act." I'm saying, no, he got my permission. I totally agree. I 100% he have my own permission, because I know Lisa, I know you, and then I know Enrique. I mean, I give him the permission. He's not stealing it. Oh, really? Do you know them? Yeah, I know them. I mean, literally, I know them. Lisa contact me. Oh, are you okay with that? Because some of them think that if I give the permission and all the credits goes to Drummond, because the one that will be famous is Drummond, not me. And I was like, it's not that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not that. It's not that. I mean, it's weird, because me, for like, I just maybe this is just my point of view, but because for me, having it played by another performer or do it by any magician that probably like can make my act better, it's an honor for me.
Yeah, man, it's I think the exact same way, to be honest with you, bro. Like, anybody that has ever done, I used to not think like that, to be honest with you. Like, I used to get very upset whenever people would take things from me, but now I'm actually kind of flattered, like in a weird way, where it's like kind of like, I'm not saying that it makes me happy. Like, I'm not saying that I'm just like, take anything that I do.
Yeah, I know. Not
for the person that needs it. Like, I think my mentality now is, man, they need it way more than I do. Like, if they're gonna steal it, then they like, you can take my ideas, you're never gonna take my creativity. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So it happens also, if you don't notice, it happened also. There's in China's Got Talent, there's a magician stole my idea, like literally stole my routine, the whole routine. Like, even when I like throw the hat, he did it exactly the same. And then, well, the rumors get spread in Indonesia, and then all the magicians that support me, they get angry. But I said, he can get the act or the looks of my props, but he never have the root.
Yeah, he doesn't have
why
you.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
He doesn't have you.
That doesn't have the soul. He doesn't have the soul.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not, you can tell, you feel it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's a very honor to have this conversation with you, because I see now magic in different kind of way of thinking from your perspective now. And
man, I don't know.
Maybe hopefully the magician here also can learn from you, not just get idea from magic, but also try to have another idea from, I don't know, maybe from another industry like magic, like theater or music, or maybe movies. For me, I get a lot of ideas from movies, especially horror movies. Horror movies inspired me a lot.
Horror is incredible. It's really crazy. I was just talking about that today, to be honest with you. It's
really,
I swear to you, yeah, we were just literally talking about Hitchcock today.
Because
it's crazy.
Sometimes the thing that I love, I mean, I learned a lot from horror movies. So it's like I like the idea of when it comes to the scene, the actor is like opening the door slowly, and we just like,
Yeah.
I mean, can you get it? Like only that small scene that probably for us is like just ordinary stuff. We open the door, but it can brings us like, it can affect us like, oh shit, it's like
It feels like it's the same thing, right? It feels like
Yeah.
it's the same way that magic is constructed, which is funny because it wasn't until recently, like within the past few years, that I understood, because I love horror movies,
Yeah.
but
Me
I
too.
don't, it's hard for me to find a good one. But it's hard for me to find a good one because it's like I always smell through whatever's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
But I think it comes from creating magic, right? Because you're already 10 steps ahead. Whenever, not when you're just performing, when you're creating, instead of being 5 steps ahead when you're creating, you have to be 10 steps ahead when you're creating.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
So whenever I watch a horror movie, it's like, well, why did they just show a flash of that character that's never been in the scene
Yes.
and has no point? Like, and then my
Yeah.
brain starts connecting all the dots, right? And so then
Yeah,
whenever
and then-
the reveal happens, I'm like, well, of course that happened. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. You know
That's
what
the
I
reason
mean?
why it flashed at first place.
Yeah. So, but it also gives me a huge respect for it. Gives me a massive respect for it. And I think that also gives me massive respect for like twist endings that are done extremely clever. That's how I can like, oh, that person would have been a great magician. You know what I mean? Well, they are a magician. That's, you know, the terms should be switched, to be honest with you. It's not, you know, that definitely needs to be the other way, where they are magicians already. They think exactly the way magicians think. And if when it's done smart and done correct, you know.
Yeah. So I just saw like I watched movie, the Batman, one of the Batman series, Black Knight. Yeah, the Black Knight. So I just saw it last night. So we already know what the ends will be like, because I watched the movie like 5 times. So I already know how it ends. And then suddenly on the last night I tried to like very pay attention on the details, and it really that they already give a hint. Who's the one? It's like when Dent comes into the car, and then he after his success of getting Joker, and then when he's got into the car, one of the cop, the shot is like probably like 3 seconds on the face of the character. It's like just doing like flat reaction, but it's a hint that he's the guy, or he's the guy.
Hold on, you're gonna love this. Hold on, let me see if I saved it. I thought I saved it. If it's not in my photos, then I saved it on the computer. But oh no, there it is, right there. It's in my photos. I literally saved this because of exactly what you're talking about, right? So it's Christopher Nolan, and it's the way that he designs the movie and where the actions lead to and where they go to. And I took a screenshot of it because I looked at it and I was like, it's so funny you brought that up, because I took a screenshot and I was like, this is a great way to construct a routine. Like if you follow this pattern and see if you can construct a routine using this pattern. But this goes back to what I was talking. Look, it's an Instagram shot. See? So remember what I was saying? I go through Instagram to look for inspiration. So this was a screenshot I took on Instagram because I was like, oh, that's how that should happen.
Wow. So that's kind of thing I try to do it for my act. So I have like a horror act. I call it the Devil's Triangle. Sometimes I give like a flash, and then people will at the end like, now I know why that props comes in without no reason. But it turns out at the end, that is the answer.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to playing that and like just like take this, take that from another, like is it from movie or music, and put it blended in your shows. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it can be done with any kind of thing. I think that those kind of concepts, anything that makes the brain switch or question, that can now be connected to something later. That because there comes a moment when something it could be anything, and anything that makes their brain go go. I've been doing this trick lately that's been super fun to do, and it's so simple. I'm getting ready to give it to a buddy of mine to publish in a thing because it's just an idea. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just literally routine. But the routine starts with a question. And that's what interested me, was because of what you're talking about. It makes the brain just go, what's about to happen? And all the question is you ask the person, you say, if I get you to pick a card and I find the card, right, Damian? So like, just look, we're hanging out and I get you to pick it. If I go through and I'm like, here you go, dude, here, take a card out. Boom. And then I find that card, that's a magical trick. That's super dope, right? But if I don't get you to pick a card and I don't find that card, do you think that's magical?
Over there, it is.
Shuffle them up. And instantly, exactly, that's what happens every time. They just start laughing. They're like, oh my God, what am I about to go on? What's the ride that I'm about to go on?
Yeah.
Wow. And then you fulfill the statement that you just made at the end of the trick. And at the very end of the trick, everything comes full circle without you having to spell it out. They just go, oh my gosh. So it's like this, it's a trick that ends up becoming this whole journey that you spelt out at the beginning. It's using theater and using scripting to elicit certain emotions, which I think is very important and very misunderused, I think I should say.
Yeah. Now I'm also get some of my sound director to create a low frequency, low frequency sound. So when you play it, it creates like goosebumps. Have you ever noticed it?
Oh,
so,
dude, that kind of thing is that's a huge. I just did a thing for who was this for? I literally just did this. I can't think of who I just did this for. It was within the last like 3 months, 2 months. But basically what it was I had a low frequency start, very, very quiet though at the beginning of the routine. And the low frequency slowly ramps up over the course of like 5 minutes so that your brain doesn't process that it's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it instantly cuts off at the moment that it needs to cut off, but it creates instant silence. Like it creates like a silence that's abnormal because the brain, and I got the idea from air conditioning units because I would be sitting in my bed or I'd be sitting in the living room and all of a sudden I'd be like, whoa, it just got really quiet all of a sudden. And I would be like, it was the AC.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, if that makes me feel like that, then if I can now synthesize that, right? If I can now recreate that by having this low, and then there was a practical joke that I played with a buddy of mine when I was in high school. So I put these two ideas together. So I was in high school and I was in theater, and my best friend was our lighting guy in theater. And so we had a lock-in one time, and we had just got this brand new light board in for the theater, right? And he realized that you could program the lights to do their own program, right? You could have them come on at certain times.
Yeah.
He also realized that he could cause the lights to turn off over the course of a programmed amount of time. And so, and this is back in, I was in high school, and I want to say that I was maybe a junior. I was either a junior or a senior in high school. So this was 97, something like that, 1997, 1998. So it wasn't like, computers were this crazy, board. And he programmed, we were at the lock-in, and he programmed the board to turn off over the course of an hour, for the lights to slowly go off over the course of an hour. So for the first 20 minutes, nobody notices anything is happening. And we had left the lock-in and came back storming outside. They ended up canceling the lock-in, storming outside. It was right when that movie Scream came out. So we bought like all these Scream masks, and we ended up like praying this huge practical joke. But I love the idea that people didn't understand that it was getting darker inside of the theater, like that their brain didn't process that it was getting darker, that it made the scene, this practical joke, it made the scene eerie without us being involved. So I just remember that, and I remember the AC thing that I thought, and I was like, man, if I create a small tone that slowly ramps up in volume so that nobody can hear the difference of it ramping up, and then I have it shut off instantly. Now suddenly, and it was at a moment where like the dude just goes bam, like that. It now intensifies the magic moment without you having to do anything, with you just doing a gesture, which I think that kind of stuff I love. Like that's the kind of thinking that like excites me.
Yeah, me too. That's why I put it in my act, in my routine.
And what did you do with it? What was the?
So there's a time when I vanish. So basically, it's like the Devil's Triangle experiment. So I create a small triangle on stage. So first the props was like throw up from the props, and then suddenly there's some props like are like vanishing, like instantly vanishing when I put it inside, and it slowly vanished. And I told the audience that, okay, I never done this before, but maybe I want to go inside and people can see me clearly. So I have like triangle, but it's like all covered with the transparent plastic, so they can see it. And then I come inside, and the music plays that time, and it's like there's a lot of props inside. You know, I take the cloth, and I vanish, and everything becomes silent. It's like that music, same thing like you. I have like low frequency, and then suddenly I shut it down, and then probably I give him like maybe 10 seconds. They're just like, what the hell? What the hell? I mean, it's kind of interesting because you put it the experience of watching horror movie and put it on stage. It's like, I don't know, it's something for me. It's like new level of entertainment for them, because I show them like live movies.
That's
I mean,
great.
it's kind
That's
of
awesome.
yeah. And then when I appear among them, it was like, what the hell? It's like the second punch, like it's the second punch. The first punch
so
is like
great.
It's like I vanish, and then the second one I appear. So I have like give them the hard punch twice.
That's so
But
awesome.
it's kind of interesting having playing with that kind of things outside the magic. I mean, the ideas
it all
from.
adds,
I mean,
all adds to the experience, right?
Yeah. Because I'm from my perspective, it's the whole new. It's the whole entertainment.
It's an experience.
Yeah, experience. I'm not trying to focus on magic, like only magic, because when it comes to shows performance, we have to have like all the ornament, all the element.
Yeah, everything adds to the experience. Like every single little detail adds to the experience. Yeah. I truly believe that. I've been trying to really think of something right now with smell. That's kind of been in the back of my head recently. Is because I was reading an article about how smell links the hardest to memory. And so I read this article about this, and I was like, oh well, now I have to come up with something with smell. So like, because if it links the hardest now, my goal is now every time somebody smells a specific smell, they're gonna jump back to what I showed them. So I feel like this would be a really strong thing for me to create. So it's one of those ideas that I have written down and I have it in the back of my head, so that now whenever I see the picture on Instagram or read the book or do whatever it's going to be, then now it'll be like, oh, this is what it needs to be.
It's kind of funny because I did that also to music.
Nice.
So when this music plays, it brings them to my act.
That's so awesome. That's so great.
Yeah, because I like the idea. So there's a statement from a friend of mine. He said that music can teleport you to somewhere else. And I said, what teleport? Not literally teleport, but your mind. It's like when you play the Cranberries, it slowly teleport you to back when you were like high school maybe. And maybe when the time with your first kiss, it jumps your mind like teleporting to another place. And it's like, oh, I like the idea. So I want to put that as my, when they hear this certain music, they will remember my act or my part of act.
Definitely. And it's so funny. It's funny that you were thinking about, because my initial thought when I think music, it's funny because it's what I thought with smell, where with music for me it was always like here we've got like the ice cream truck, right? That's an example. Like when the ice cream truck had a kid came around, it all had that beep, 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 that same music. And so if that song instantly happened during a show, then you know that they're going to jump back to childhood real quick, right? And then especially now if you mix that with smell, right? So let's say you did that, but all of a sudden you smell orange, right? Now you start thinking of because orange is a very easy thing to smell. You're like, oh man, there's ice cream. You know what I mean? So instantly you can create this emotion. But I find it interesting with what you're saying and with what I was saying with smell as well, is flipping that. So you're not going back to a childhood memory. You're trying to create a new memory that they tag onto that goes back to your show for the future.
Yeah.
So as opposed to
Yes.
jumping back to childhood, it jumps back midway to what you were doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which means that it can't be stronger. I mean, it's not going to be stronger than a childhood memory of
Yeah.
an ice cream truck, right?
Yeah.
So you have to create a new experience, which is a really good challenge. It's a super dope way of thinking about it.
So is it okay for you to like have some question again to ask?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
I mean, now it's
I'm in quarantine, bro. I'm not going nowhere.
because it's late at your time. It's already late. If I'm mistaken, it's like 12 p.m.
I don't know. I haven't looked up probably, but it's okay. No worries.
Okay, so I'm going to back to question. So this question from Faldi, he asks, you created a lot of magic and project. Which one of those creations is your favorite one?
I don't really have one. I think that the very first Torn was kind of the first thing that put me on the map, but the reason that might be my favorite is not because of the effect, not because of the trick. It's because of the story that's wrapped around the trick. It's because of that experience is what like kind of started me on my journey that I'm on right now, which is being able to do this and be in this amazing place and do what I'm doing right now.
The working process or the effect after you're releasing it?
So the effect itself was created, and it took a length of time to create. But what happened was when it finally finished, I had just become friends with my buddy Alex. We had just started like kind of hanging out. And I'll give you like the Cliff Notes version of this because it's a very long story and it's a very amazing story for me personally. But I'll just condense it. I had driven to Alex's house. Alex used to sleep really, really late. So he would sleep till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And so he was up really late. So I'd done this trick and I really wanted to show it to Alex. I finally finished it. It'd taken a long time. I finally kind of put this whole thing together. I drive to Alex's house. I wake him up and he rolls over and he lights a cigarette. He's still in bed. And I'm like, I've got to show this to you. And I was like, get dressed, come out here. He's like, okay. So he gets dressed, he comes out in the living room, and I do this Torn and Restored card for him. And Alex, midway through, I do the very first piece. And so it's like I rip and then I do this at the very beginning. And I touch the first piece and it heals and Alex has a cigarette and Alex goes, psst, and he puts the cigarette out. And he exhales and he leans in. And I was like, oh man, this is it. So and then I do the third piece or the second piece, boom. And Alex does this like look, and I do the last piece. And Alex like looks at me, he goes, bro, what the, he like, what? And so I was like, yeah, that's good, huh? And he's like, I have no idea what just happened. So we start talking and I start showing him how it works and I start going over with him and he sees that there's no gimmicks and none of this stuff, right? So he's now like, wait, you didn't build anything? This is literally just kind of an impromptu trick? And I was like, yeah. So he goes, that weekend, 2 days later, was a convention in Houston. And that convention, there was my buddy Roger Klaus, who was an incredible magician, passed away now, but he was an amazingly respected Texas magician. He wrote Roger Klaus in Concert, which is an incredible book. He was a friend of mine because I was one of the few people, there was only like a small group of us that were actually creating magic, young guys that were creating magic in Houston. And so, and I would always show him kind of my new ideas. And so he did this show called Midnight Madness that happened every year at this convention. And all it was his friends. And it happened at midnight on like the second or third day of the convention. And he would ask his friends to do one trick, and that's it. So Alex goes, you have to do this. So we come up with the plan that I'm going to film this VHS tape. And I'm broke, by the way. I think I have literally a little over $100 to my name. Like I am broke. I'm living with my parents. And so, I literally pawned things to get gas money to get to Alex's house and back. Like we would it was crazy. Like I remember there was a time like Alex and I would like pawn like think I pawned a guitar or a pool stick. I pawned a pool stick one time so Alex and I could take these girls out on a date. Like it was a crazy time. And so we I borrowed $100 from my parents, and I borrowed a bunch of VHS from all my friends. I borrowed a bunch of VHS tape recorders. And we Jay-Z chained them together. And I got 3 of my friends. It was Alex, my buddy David, and my buddy Chris. And we went to my buddy David's house at the time, and we filmed. I got the money. We bought a sheet that we hung up on the wall with tape. We bought a floodlight so that we could light it. My friend had a video camera. We used his video camera. And then my buddy's dad had a MacBook, I think, that he had bought him. So he had this MacBook, and he was like, his dad, was well off. He had a good job. And so we had this MacBook. And it was like back when Macs obviously weren't like a big thing like they are now. But so we filmed the VHS, this torn VHS tape, film it, edit, and duplicate it to look like multiple cameras by me watching a television screen and trying to replicate like my hands look like different. Yeah, it was crazy.
It's tough, man. It's really hard to do that.
It was so crazy. So we do this. We set alarms. We all take turns because you had to push all the VHS like the record, play. So we all, and I think the VHS was an hour long. So we all set time shifts. So one person would get up and change out the tapes, and then they would sleep. The next person would get up and change. So that way people could at least get like some sleep. Went and did this. I printed stickers, made 100 copies, and took it to this convention. And I get up on this. I go to Roger and I ask him if I can do this thing. He's like, "Yeah, of course." So he calls me up that night. I do the trick, and Alex secretly had set up all the VHS tapes in the back of the room around the corner, because you're supposed to have a dealer's booth or something, right? And we don't have any money. So he sets up all the VHS tapes. And at the time I was charging $40 for this one trick. It was $40 for a VHS tape, which was unheard of, right? It was crazy, but it was like, this is it. So I go do the trick. I'm super nervous. I go off stage. Alex is like, "You have to tell them." So I got run back up there. I grab them. I was like, "Oh, by the way, if you guys want that trick, it's $40. It's in the back." And we're sitting back there and nothing's happening. And I'm like crushed. I was like, "Oh God, I just made a fool out of myself." And all of a sudden we just hear like, "Oh," and all this commotion starts happening. This flood of people comes out, and we just start selling them left and right. And you have to think it's like 12:30, 12:45 in the morning. So, past midnight, chunking, people are just throwing $20 bills at me. Boom, boom. We're just like, what is happening? And then that was like the first time like that, like buzz had happened. Like I'd always had like people like, "Oh, you create magic. You're that young kid that creates magic. You're that kid that has ideas." But this was like the first time that people were like, "That's the guy," right? And so I went and got, we went and bought every single deck of cards that was at the convention. We went to every dealer's booth, and it wasn't like it is now where there's millions of decks of cards that are being produced all the time. There's so many different designs nowadays. It wasn't like that. You had probably 15 different card designs, right? Tally-hos and like aristocrats.
Yeah.
So we bought all of them. And Alex would have and my buddies would have all these cards. And so that way I could be like, anytime for the next 2 days, they would be like, "Hey, you're that dude that does that trick." And I'd be like, "Yeah, what kind of cards do you have?" And then we would see their cards, and Alex would pull a card out real quick, and he would like fold it up real fast for me. And now I could do it with a borrowed card with their deck, right? And we were selling them out of the backpack. So we get done, we sell out, and I split the money 4 ways with all the guys, right? Boom, thanks for your help. That was amazing. I bought them all gifts. We'd walk through the dealer's room and I'd secretly listen to like what everybody wanted. So I bought them all gifts, like what they wanted. And so we're sitting around and I'd just given them all the money. And I look down and Alex looks down and we both catch eyes on this flyer that's on the table. And it's for a convention called Las Vegas Magic Invitational. And it's the next weekend. And I'm staring at it. And I look up at Alex, and Alex, in the dopest way possible, just literally looks at me. Right when I look at him, he goes, and just hands me all the money back. And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Let's do it again." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it again." So we went and bought more VHS tapes. We duplicate everything. We put our money together. We got in a car. We drove cross country to Vegas took off, did it there, and then that convention is whenever I met Chris Kenner and Paul Harris and Copperfield.
Wow.
Everybody was talking about this trick, and they're like, "You have to see this torn thing." And the trick was modeled after Torn Asunder, which was what Kenner created for Copperfield with the baseball card, and that's what it was modeled after. And so Kenner had heard that this kid was doing this real-time version of this trick, and so I showed it to him, and which is another story in itself. That's a whole nother conversation, by the way, because that was amazing. And that dude is incredible. But I finished the trick for him and Paul Harris sitting side by side in Homer Lee Wag.
Wow.
And I go to hand him the card, Kenner, and Kenner looks at me. He goes, "If I can examine that card," I'm like, and I went, "Here." And he grabs it and he's like, "What?" He goes, "Let's go talk." And so we pull aside and we have like an hour-long conversation. He's asking me about my goals and asking me about my ideas. And it was like one of the most amazing things. And then we find out that the Magic Castle was 4 hours away. So we like look at each other and we're like, "Well, let's go to LA." So we take off to LA after the convention and snuck our way into the Magic Castle. We all lit up cigarettes downstairs and like snuck in through the library because we weren't members. And then I started doing magic. I started doing Torn, and we all started doing magic around the green tables. And then I got hired that night. Like they came up to me and were like, "Hey, do you want to work next month?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's work next month." And then my career just took off. So that's why that's my favorite. Has nothing to do with the actual magic itself. It has to do with kind of real magic. So
Yeah, because of that creation brings you until today.
yeah.
So you have you ever consulting for David Copperfield?
I've been asked to do a couple of different things, but it wasn't like they didn't like they weren't like, "Hey, come and hang out here for a month." Like it wasn't like I do for this type of thing. It's like, "Hey, here's this trick. Do you have a solution for it?" Or here's this like Chris will call and be like, "Hey, here's this idea. Do you have an idea for it?" Or I had a trick that I had created that he wanted, so there was like a bit with that where he got that and that kind of thing. But it wasn't like I do for this. Like it wasn't that kind of thing. But I wouldn't, in my definition of consult, then I would say no. But help in some kind of capacity, whatever I can, then yes, maybe.
So this is a question from Darius Drew. He asks, what is the common mistake that need to be avoided by newly consultant?
By new consultants?
Yeah.
The common mistake.
Maybe I try to like a little bit help, because it happened also to one of my consultants, and then his statement, it always stuck in my mind when he said, when you become a consultant, you have to put aside your ego.
1000%. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is you have to push that. You literally have to push that aside.
Because sometimes when the magician or the one that asked who hired you, he have this kind of idea, and then suddenly you find out that it's kind of ridiculous or it's not that kind of thing, and then you already give that person your like 100% consulting, and then he said like, "I don't think it's not good. I want stick to this."
Yes, I agree
part,
with you
right?
1000%. I think the easiest thing that I could say is, if I could sum it up, it would be don't take things personally. Because of ego, it's very easy to start to feel like you don't deserve your own creativity. It's very easy to fall into that. It's very easy to feel like somebody else owns your brain. And don't let that get to you. That's a hard thing to do. It really is a hard thing. If I'm talking like 100 and being very real with you, that's a very difficult thing, because whenever you're thinking creatively all the time and you're giving solutions all the time, it's very easy to fall into a place of you not deserving your own thoughts. But it's important to remember that they're your thoughts, bro. They're coming from your head, and those people have you there for a reason. And just not to take it personally. You have to kind of push that aside. That's their own kind of insecurities and their own bugaboos that they're working through. So that's the big thing.
Just like what you said before, when you have like all the notes and you show it to David Blaine, and then he said like, I find this interesting, this, and this not, no, yes, and then the no part, you just take some like dots, maybe because you think that David will not seeing as in your perspective. So that's probably that's a good solution if you're consulting someone, and then when he say no, just assume that he's not seeing it as your perspective.
It's not. Look, you're not gonna always bat 100. 100%. You know what I mean? Actually, I should say it differently. Because you shouldn't have that mindset. The mindset that you should have is that you're not always going to bat 100. Sometimes you're going to bat 110. That's just a dope way of thinking. Like, it's like everything's, when you're good at what you do, it's very easy to fall into a place of them expecting you to be good 1000% all the time. And when you're good at what you do and you deliver fast and rapidly, and you solve problems rapidly and very fast, it's very easy for them to get very used to that. Well, how come this isn't done right now? Like, you're so quick. So you have to there's a balance. That's a secret to life, right? Just balance.
So another last question, maybe. What is the hardest trick you ever invented?
Hardest trick I've ever invented. It's a hard question. The hardest trick I've ever invented. Man, you
have a lot of tricks, probably. You have a lot of, and then your stuff is just like what your story said before. All your stuff was taken like quite long, right? The idea itself,
everything,
the process.
I don't know if I can answer that because everything has its own little quirks. I'm trying to think of the most challenging thing that I've ever done. Man, I do not know. I can't. Give me a different one. That's a really tough. That's a really hard one. It's a hard one just because it doesn't have to do with like moves. It was more like psychology and more like
the reason why it's happening, the reason why it has to be like this and that, right? All the details and everything that makes it more like every trick has its own difficulty.
No, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I'll have to come back. I'll send you an email.
So what is this is interesting question also. So this guy asked, what's the difference between creating a trick and then making a trick for a television and also creating a trick for consuming by magicians?
For selling and then for television. I never create specifically to sell. But I understand that if I'm selling something that it needs to tick off certain boxes. Just because that just comes from understanding the way that you buy magic. You know what I mean? And that just comes from getting magic myself. You know what I mean? It's like there's those things that whenever you sell a trick, one, you shouldn't really consider, like, if you're asking that question, I don't know whoever just asked that question. If you're asking that question, if it's because you're wanting to sell a trick, then I think that you should ask the question, why do you want to sell a trick? Like, just figure out what that is first. Like, do you want to sell the trick just because you're trying to make money? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, if that's what you're, but I will tell you this, like, I don't consider myself a musician. Like, I play a lot of instruments, but I'm not a musician. I'm not going to go out and put out like a way that I hold a G chord. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not, because I'm not a musician. Like, there's other people that know music theory and music technique and 30 billion times more than I know. You know what I mean? I would never race to go try to do that. But magic is different for some reason. Magic is like, I've got this cool thing and I want everybody to know it. So I think the first thing is to ask, why are you trying to sell that? Why are you trying to sell your idea? So not saying that you shouldn't by any means. You're your own person, be your own, you be you. But just figure out why you're trying to sell it first. And then if you're trying to sell it because you think that it's furthering the art form, or you think that it's furthering the way that people think, then go for it. Put everything 1000% into it. But know that you need to understand like that it is an experience in itself. Like getting and selling an effect, designing, selling an effect is an experience on itself, and it's an experience on both sides. So don't forget that. When it comes for creating magic for television, it's the same thing. You understand that you're bound by a box. You understand that you're bound by limitations. You have limitations. So you need to think about what those are. But the biggest thing is that it is simplicity. Like you want simplicity. And I think a lot of times magicians get caught up in like, I want this to be clever, right?
Yeah.
I want this to
exactly
needs to be clever.
What happened like, most common, most common, right? Like the the presentation is like, it's too complicated.
Yeah, it's way too complicated. It's not people, you know, we were doing these shows over in the Dominican for a while. And I remember like a couple of friends were asking like, what would you do? What would you do? And it was really simple. I was like, bro, do you want me to just give you like a really easy, like a very, very simple thing? Force and reveal. Force and reveal.
Yes.
That is one of the easiest things that you can do that will play on television and it will play well. Force and reveal. Come up with a really cool way to reveal a forced card. There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, you will win. That is a winning solution right there. Because it's entertaining, it can be summed up, it's very simple to do, and now put your creativity around it. You know what I mean? You don't have to just be like, was this your card? You know what I mean?
Is it red? Is it black? Come on, man, just shoot it.
Yeah, give me, you know, come up with something, just start thinking about things. Are you drinking a drink like while you're doing it? Can you shake and make the card appear now, right? You want to use black art because it's against your shirt. Like just think of different ideas that you would do and just start now, like reverse engineering like what you have. That's going to make good television.
Interesting.
And then the other biggest thing is going to be which I say to my buddy all the time, a couple of buddies all the time, is that you want the exclamation point when it comes to television. So it might be cool to have a trick, but you want that one thing that's going to be the stamp. Bink. You want that one thing that's going to put the button at the end of the sentence when it comes to magic on television. So just think about that. You don't need all this complicated, you know, 3 flies and, you know, it's like all that stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. Just think of good, strong magic that really, it doesn't have to be visual, although the visual element
has to be memorable.
Yeah, memorable. It needs to create. It needs to. There needs to be something that triggers the viewer.
So now this is the last question from me.
For it. All right.
So I already in this industry, like magic industry, for like 23 years. And then have you ever experienced the conflict between you and the magician? I mean, like the whole package, the magic consultant and magician, and also face like versus the production TV shows. So they think that they understand this, but I mean, we all experience it
all the time, bro.
I just want to know from your story, because here in Indonesia, sometimes the funniest thing is like there's for instance, like I have a shows lately in the television. It's a talent show for magician, and then the creative from the program asks us like, okay, do you have any new tricks or new routine that you want to show it to us, or maybe for the thing that you've been doing or creating process that you're going to show probably 2 weeks from now, or do you already have something that never been performed? And I was like, okay, I have one. And then the funniest thing, they asked me, do you have the video? Do you have it on YouTube? The first line that I said is never been done before. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what,
it's-
there's two sides
yeah.
to that coin, right?
yeah, yeah.
There's always two sides to the coin. There has been, we'll start with the negative first, because I don't want to end on a negative.
Yeah, I want to hear that, because I think all the magicians here in who's watching right now, some of them are consultant. They're facing the same problem when they have to deal with television. They don't know anything. They want, like, they think that's, oh, I want this. I want you to do like appearing cars. And when it comes to the budget, and they was like, do you have anything else?
Yeah. So production and magic team are a relationship.
Mhm.
And it's very important to create a healthy relationship, because production understands things that magic team doesn't understand.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we don't understand, right? Like,
Yeah.
And especially, and I'm going to speak from my own personal position. There's things that my team will never know because they don't need to know it. And they don't need to know it because it just stifles creativity, right? It's going to put them in a bad mood. But there's also things that I don't know that I have learned sitting in other meetings, right, with production, where it's like, I didn't even consider that we now need to get 10 permits as opposed to 1 permit, right?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that we now need to spend this amount of money to do this, or that we have to now have these people here because this city requires it. I would have never thought about that, right? So I can't get angry when it comes to those kind of things. Now, on the other side of that is production doesn't understand magic. They just don't. They understand television. And television is made a very specific and certain way. It's made with the budget they have and the time that they have to do it, right? That's what they're trying to follow.
Mhm.
They're trying to follow money, and they're trying to follow time. They're trying to save money by saving time, right? So if you understand that, and you understand that it's not personal, now you can navigate that, right? So because it's a relationship, every show that I've ever been a part of, I try to make, and the whole team tries to make, the magic team be like the life, right? You want the producers to come in and want to hang out in this space. You want them to feel good in this space. You want them to come in and feel like, man, I wish that our team worked like this team. This team is so creative. They're so fun. They're doing these kind of things. Now it won't start off like that. It might start off with like, how come these guys aren't doing their job? Right?
Yeah.
Why are they sitting there throwing darts at a dartboard? Why are they, why are they sitting there, just yelling weird shit at each other? But they don't understand that's part of the creative process, right? They don't understand that that's where the creativity comes from. But if you help them understand that that's where the creativity comes from, now every time they hear stuff like that going on in that office, now they don't think they're playing. Now they think they're working, right? And so there's an amazing quote, that's incredible, that I love, actually, that says, hang on one second, I have it here. Boom, boom, boom. This is so dope, because it like hit such a chord with me. It hit such a chord with me because it's exactly how I feel, like down to my bones. All right, here, boom, 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 boom. He simply pursues his vision of excellence through whatever he's doing and leaves others to determine whether he's working or playing. To himself, he always seems to be doing both. I think that quote is incredible. And the reason is because it's, when it comes to being creative, that's what you're doing. You're playing all day long. Your brain is playing all day long. And if you can have the production team understand that your play is actually work, then you're golden. So on this production that happened, a couple, we won't mention who it was with, but that the team was working with, I hit a very, very bad low, like the worst that I'd ever been in. Like I've always really, really believed that to be a leader, you need to not let things get to you, and you need to literally lead by example. You need to be the person that is shining through. You have your hard days, you let them roll off your shoulder, you deal with it. You don't pretend like they don't happen, you just deal with them. You know what I mean? And this executive producer just, he was dealing with his own battles, and I see that now. But that didn't mean that the way that he treated people was right. And it put me in a very dark place, because I empathize way too easily with everybody, and I feel very deeply, and so it put me in a very, very bad spot, bad enough of a spot to where I had to fly Alex to another country, just to make sure that I wasn't crazy, because I started like losing it. Like I was like, am I in the wrong? Like, have I lost my judgment? Which is a really weird, if you know me, like if you know and my friends know me, like that's a really weird place for me, because that's not me at all. And so I became a very different person. And so I started questioning myself. I started being like, what is happening? Like, what's going on? Like, so I called Alex, and I was like, I was almost in tears, to be honest with you. And I was like, yo, dude, I need somebody that I know is going to speak truth to me. Like, I know that somebody, like, you're not going to care about hurting my feelings. I just need somebody that's going to literally talk to my heart and be like, yo, dude, like, you need to chill out, or nope, you're not crazy. This dude's crazy. And so he flew to another country, and within a day, it wasn't even a day, it was hours, Alex looks at this man and goes, you're crazy, to this guy. But the rest of the production team also understood that this guy was kind of crazy, but I was also starting to lose it. Like I was starting to lose grip of my team. I was starting to like, things were starting to kind of, because once like the snowball starts happening, that's a hard thing to start kind of getting back together. So I started losing kind of grips of this thing, to the point to where whenever we finished, I was done. I was like, I'm out, glad I could help, I'm over. And I had a lot of people reach out to me afterwards, and a lot of parts of the production that I still keep in contact with that were amazing, incredible people. Will I ever work with this producer again, executive producer? No, I will never work with him again. I don't hate the guy. I actually feel for the guy now, to be honest with you, but it was a very, very different place to be. So that's the bad side of this, is whenever you come to terms with an ego that cannot be pushed aside, that is a force, right? Which is a thing that you have to deal with. The opposite side of that is, I did a show in Canada, and this production company, it was a production company, Peacock Alley is who the production company was, and they're still very dear friends of mine. We talk all the time. Literally, we talk on a monthly basis. It was the complete opposite. This production was so amazing, so incredible, that we were able to talk to this production, and they were like, look, we don't know anything about magic. We know nothing about magic. You know about magic. We know how to get shit done. So I'll tell you what, tell us what you need to get done. We'll tell you if we can afford it. And if we can't afford it, let's see if we can collaborate and come up with a way that we can. We trust you.
Yeah.
It was one of the most amazing experiences there was. Then we traveled with that team. We traveled with the whole team. We all had a blast the whole ride. It was incredible. I'm not saying that there wasn't ups and downs. There's always going to be ups and downs, right? Always.
Yeah, but when it comes already together, we can pass
exactly, man. Exactly. It was incredible, the energy. But because of that, we now keep in contact all the time. We like and literally we could be like, yo, like if there was a show that we wanted to pitch, it would literally be a phone call and be like, hey, here's this idea for a show. Do you like it or not? Nah, it's not. It's not really one. Or yep, definitely like that. Let's explore that more. You know what I mean? So there's always both sides of that coin. I think the hard part is, and the big lesson that I learned on that other show, on the negative show, was it was more of like a, hey man, like I learned a lot about myself, right? I learned a lot about like, oh, okay, like this is not like you found your limit. But now I knew what that limit was, and now being aware of that limit, it's easy to now recognize that and not slip back into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so production's always going to be hard. That's why I think that it's actually I've been toying around with the idea of actually just starting a production company, specifically for this kind of thing, just because with myself and all of my friends, we have enough friends that can take care of every single part of what a production company takes care of. You know what I mean? And so, and if we can't do it, then we know production companies like Peacock in Canada, or there's production companies here too. There's Joke Productions here in LA is amazing as well. But these companies, we have companies that we could reach out that do treat people. It all comes down to how they treat people, bro. That's pretty much there. You want to just sum it up?
Yeah. It's true. Because I have the similar experience as well. I have my own shows also back in 2007. They did the same thing. Like you have your good experience with the production company.
Mm-hmm.
They said that, okay, you tell us how much is the budget, and we try to get if we can get you the amount of money to cover all the costs, it may be great. But what if they just like discuss and then give solution?
Yeah.
What if we have only like half of it? What could we do so we can still produce these TV shows? When we talk and everything else, and that is more like they treat us like human, like
That's the big. You know what's funny is I've always thought this is an idea that I just recently had, maybe not even a year ago, less than a year ago. But I'm actually very curious about the next TV show that I do that isn't done, because David's very different. Because David, it's real, you know what I mean? Like there is no, like, we're not getting locations and things like that. We're going to real people. And so and a lot of TV right now likes to cast shows, right? Because it saves money, and time, right? Not that those people are in on it.
Yeah,
they know that they're paying for their time to be standing around waiting to get shot with, right? So I've thought about, to get the point across now for the next show that I do, is to hire basically stand-ins to come in, right? Cast it, but for the pitch, the pitch of the tricks, right? So let's say, you've already been hired as a consultant. You go into the room and they're like, okay, what are you gonna do? Like, all right, we're gonna do this trick with a dollar bill, and the dollar bill is gonna float. When it floats, it's gonna hit the ceiling, and then it's gonna shoot across the wall, and it's gonna become a painted on the wall, right? I don't know, the terrible trick, but you get it. So
no, it's not terrible.
So okay, cool. So here we go. Watch. I can't really do the floating thing right now because I don't have the setup, but here, we'll do it against the wall. Watch. Let me see your dollar. You got your dollar? Sign the dollar. Okay. Oh, wait 1 second. Excuse me, Jenny, can you come in here? And Chris, can you come in here? Yes, this is Jenny and Chris. Jenny and Chris, do you guys have a dollar bill that we can? Who's Jenny and Chris? Oh, don't worry about that right now. We'll get to Jenny and Chris. Can you guys dollar? Perfect. And can you sign the dollar? Perfect. You got it. Watch, and boom, and it shoots across the wall. Bam, and now it becomes a painting on the wall, right? Jenny, can you go over and try to take it off? It's painted on the wall. Chris, go give her a hand. Oh my God, man, it's painted. This is painted. Well, those are, and then the producer, well, those are obviously actors. Exactly. Point made. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Chris. Here's your $100 for the day. Go on, have a good day. My point is let's not cast the show because you felt like they were actors, even though they had no idea what was going to happen. They had no clue, but they gave you reactions because they wanted the gig, because they wanted to be on television. So they gave you false reactions. Therefore, that emotion now just came through on television. You just felt it, and we weren't even on television. We were in real life. And I'm like actually kind of excited to do this idea, to be honest with you, just so that they like understand through experience. Oh, we get it. Well, now we have to figure out how to save money. And so it's really funny. So it's a long way to go, but it'll get the point across. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's kind of interesting though. Yeah, because sometimes they same thing here happen also when like a production TV, they hire like all the stand-in. You call stand-in.
Yeah.
In here we call talent. So there's a talent coordinator. So they gather all. Even they have like, what do you call it? It's like a place that have a lot of house.
Yeah.
So all the people that stay there, they pay, and then they bring all with the buses and comes to watch a television or shows or like street magic, everything. Sometimes they hire people like that. And then that's the thing. I kind of understand, yeah, just like what you said before. I kind of understand why they want to do it, and they want to do it short way. They want to do it short way and efficiently, because they don't want to waste their time to have the audience that will react in like, oh, that's good magic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
I completely understand. But sometimes the reaction is too way more. I don't know. It's like too fake. It's too fake. And people can see that, just like what you said.
People feel it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I think we have to call it off because we already have like 2 hours now.
Wow. Whoa, man, that's crazy. I didn't feel like that long.
Yeah, me too. But when I saw start streaming 2 hours ago, I was like, wow, 2 hours.
That's crazy, bro. Thank you so much. This was really fun, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think we should do this like offline.
I would love to. I would do this anytime, bro.
It's kind of interesting talking with you. I thought you just like kind of like more to mechanic guy, and then it turns out you are more like the art guy.
Oh,
and yeah.
That's a huge compliment, bro.
Yeah, because for me, that is what makes some magician or people unique, because they're seeing things a different way. It's like my wife. My wife is, I think she's a truly artist. I mean, we had like our own shows in YouTube, on YouTube, and her shows were very successful shows, because every week when we post it online, every week sometimes we get to trending number 1 or number 5, like top 10. And then sometimes I try to give her like, well, as a magician back then, when we do the first show as a magician, I want to give like some gimmick, this and that, like the magic one. And then she said, no, I want like, I mean, she talked like very like a truly artist. I just want to be like this, like that, more sharing and more give people some knowledge. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. And awesome. I mean, for me, it's kind of like interesting to meeting people like that. That's the reason why I married Sarah, because she's unique and she's very, very truly artist.
That's awesome.
She want to do it if it makes her happy. She doesn't want to do it when like the TV want this, the TV want that, and as long as she doesn't feel comfort, she doesn't want to do it.
That's amazing.
So I learned a lot from her, and then we talk about this. We in this conversation, I was like, oh, I find it more interesting because you're doing it everything with the heart. I think that's a
huge thing. I think that is one of the most important things you can do, man.
Yeah, I hope when this all ends, I can jump into LA and we could have like a hangout time.
Yeah, bro. 1000%. I'll head over there too. We'll do both ways.
Yeah, and definitely I will invite you to Jakarta and we do some tours, like lecture tours, and we could discuss everything. And you have to prepare. Every night I will take you out. It's gonna be like a long journey for you.
I got
lecture, hang out, lecture, hang out. You have to taste all the Indonesian food.
Oh yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard about Bali?
No.
Bali is like a paradise. So maybe we should put it on the list in our journey when you're in doing the lecture.
Let's end there. We'll spend like 2 or 3 days there. We'll just hang out and drink, eat, talk magic, write down ideas, have a good time.
Perfectly. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, so bro. Much. This was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
And I have to say it in Bahasa first to say goodbye to them. Okay, it's okay.
Peace. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye. So guys, thank you yang udah join. Sorry agak lama, tapi kalau buat orang awam ya oke lah ya. Tapi oh ya, si Bu Vernon ikut Cel kalau ngobrol nggak di sini. Oh ya, siap, nanti gua ajak Cel. memang benar banyak yang mau gue tanyain. Gue juga tadi banyak banget yang mau gue tanyain, tapi ya you know lah, kita nggak bisa juga ngobrol di sini karena banyak hal-hal yang dirahasiakan. Terus next setelah corona ini berakhir, gue memang mau ngundang Daniel Garcia untuk ke Indonesia. Sebenarnya udah ada pembicaraan, tapi semoga nanti kita bisa wujudin. Terima kasih teman-teman di sini yang udah join. Semoga kalian bisa mendapatkan faedahnya. Yang jelas, gue sih banyak belajar banget, gue pribadi. Ada hal-hal yang ternyata sebenarnya nggak beda jauh antara sulap di Indonesia sama di luar negeri. Terus Bo Vernon nggak perlu sedih, ternyata mereka juga mengalami hal yang sama, tapi ya kita harus bisa think both side. Nantilah kita bahas. Tapi intinya senang bisa bertemu sama orang yang melihat seni sulap itu dari segi seninya. Ternyata Daniel Garcia, setelah kita ngobrol panjang, dia adalah orang yang benar-benar penuh dengan art. Maksudnya dia nggak beda jauh lah, gue bisa ngelihat dia sama gue tuh ada kesamaan. Kita melihat seni sulap itu dari segi seninya, bukan hanya triknya. Jadi kita melihat sebuah permainan atau menciptakan sebuah permainan, itu terinspirasi dari banyak hal, nggak hanya menciptakan sebuah trik. Nah, semoga itu yang bisa teman-teman lihat di sini, bahwa dalam menciptakan sebuah permainan, nggak perlu harus melulu dari ngelihat sulap, tapi lihatlah dari point of view lain yang artistik, atau get inspired dari hal-hal lain di luar sulap, belajarlah banyak hal tentang luar sulap, bahkan Daniel Garcia aja hanya dari feed Instagram aja dia bisa mendapatkan sebuah ide-ide baru. Jadi ide tuh dari mana aja, nggak harus dari sulap. Oke, gue coba lihat lagi di sini ternyata ada Diga Bayu, Zaki, Bo Vernon. Kok lapar ya hari ini tumben sama. Habis ini gue kayak mau makan. Cel. Salam buat Kak Sarah, ya nanti disalamin sama Kak Sarah. Oke, thank you so much for your time. Jangan lupa nanti sekarang tuh hari apa sih? Jumat ya. Jangan lupa besok malam jam 8 gue akan interview Mario Lopez. Terus malamnya gue akan join juga sama salah satu meeting juga dengan teman-teman pesulap. Ya, nanti kalau bisa tolong join, kita belajar online. Jadi bukan berarti kalian di rumah aja nggak apa-apain, tapi kita belajar. Thank you so much. Semoga bermanfaat buat kalian semua. Kalau nggak bermanfaat, nggak apa-apa. Karena saya lebih fokusin sama mereka yang menganggap ini adalah sebuah manfaat. Oke? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.